So, why don't we just roll with the best damn intro in the business? And we're off again. Welcome to BALLBUSTERS, episode 124. As usual, if you'd like to support this channel, there are PayPal and Patreon links in the info box below. Getting a warning, the stream's current bit rate, but we're going to ride on right past that. Pay attention like it's not even there. And throw it on over to the distinguished Nathan Oakley.
I'm not going to talk unless I'm at a very high bit rate. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I can't see the whole warning. Yeah, you got it right.
I expect audio perfection if I'm going to talk.
It's going to be perfection. It's just trolling me. We discussed this before. I'm sorry, go ahead.
You adjusted my microphone level? Do I sound nice?
Oh, yeah, perfect. I can hardly hear you.
Me here?
Go ahead, try it again.
Ballbusters. You'd already introduced me, but you carried on talking. It's okay.
Go ahead, floor's yours.
I'm just saying hello to your audience. It's good to be here. Are you, Adam? Good, huh? Wow, it's good to be here.
I think you got to say evening. He's trying to get to his microphone.
We're not dragging out the whole Witsit and Law Lodge thing.
No.
A little bit too long, I think.
No, we're not. I'm going to drag it out the whole way, I think. There is how would I want to say, like I told you, there's a hanging watermelon-sized curveball for everyone, but especially for you in the beginning. So get ready.
By the beginning, you mean 2/3 of the way through the video that we've been covering for a while?
Yeah. By the beginning of this episode, part 3.
Okay.
Now, I don't remember what happens after that. I watched this about 4 weeks ago. I just roll with it because I like to do it spontaneously. So we'll see where we get to. Oh, and there's more coming after this. You can bet that from Boy Zero Sky Grifter.
Because? Has he done something else we'll be covering?
Yeah. Yeah, plenty.
Okay. It just seems like we've got a bit of a thing for Witsit.
Well, he is the self-appointed flat Earth representative. So, every word that comes out of his incoherent blowholes needs to be evaluated for accuracy.
Okay. I noticed you didn't pipe up much the other day when we were covering Candace Owens. And I was being told I was being too harsh. You were there, but didn't really offer much of an opinion.
Was I actually there, or was I in the hangout?
You were there. Yeah, you were there.
Was I there? Okay.
You were there.
So who
I thought you'd back me up. Now I didn't lean on you to back me up, although you were there. As in, why? Why should she be any different to anybody else in terms of our level of critique?
Yeah.
Why would she
that's
pass?
easy.
Because she's new. Go on.
You got it right there. Because she's new to the topic, and she's not the self-appointed flat Earth representative. She just fumbled and stumbled her way in here, into our genre. She's not to be held to that standard.
No. By the same token, if you're going to correct somebody, you've got to correct them. If you're going to say, well, this isn't done the way it best be done, then you can only point out the way it best be done. If you're going to do that, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're just saying, oh, yeah, fine. Ice walls, domes, ether. No, let it all slide. Then you.
No, I don't think she was talking about ethers. I mean, I haven't listened. Listen, as of last week, I didn't even know who Candace Owens was. So, like I said, I think I explained myself. Candace Owens is new. She is not to be held to the standard of our flat Earth representative to the public. It's very simple.
What about the Shane guy, the MMA fighter, then?
Again, seems on the outskirts, and that's the first time I ever heard of him. I'm not into MMA fighting, so I listened to some of it, of what he said, and you're asking me what should be done. He's not part of the elite council. So what do I think of him? Go ahead.
So facto, these people are people representing the subject matter. Right. I'll give you another example. Asmund Gold is a massive, he's a gamer YouTuber, but he does commentary. And he covered Sabine Hosselenfelder saying that Flat Earth is dangerous yesterday. And he's responding to what she says Flat Earth is, and responding to that as though he's responding to a Flat Earth video. But he's not. He's responding to an anti-Flat Earth video. He's decrying Flat Earth with their strawman version of what they say Flat Earthers have as beliefs. He's responding to that. Now, sure. In my humble opinion, what happens in that scenario has literally put all aspects of Flat Earth out of the loop. There isn't any anymore. So far away from it. Do you stop? Well, he's not representing us. He's not a Flat Earther. She's not representing us. She's definitely not a Flat Earther. They're both new, let's say, into the subject of Flat Earth. But when you type in the search, which I do to see what's coming up, that's what you get. Therefore, they are the representation of Flat Earth. When Candace Owens was doing it, she's at the top of the search list. She's what people will find. Then goes for the Shane guy. The interview was top of the list. That is what represents Flat Earth.
I don't see how this is a difficult discernment. They're not Flat Earth. They are not part of the Supreme Council. They're just fumbling and stumbling their way in here. Little Johnny-come-latelys. So I really don't care about them at all.
They're the ones that are actually reaching the public about this subject when they type it into a search engine.
Okay.
In my opinion, you can't not critique it, because if somebody comes across it and they want to know more and start looking for similar searches,
mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm saying that knowing in my heart of hearts that they probably wouldn't find their way to us anyway. But what I'm saying is, if you're going to critique it based on the information that is currently up to date for this subject, in my opinion, that's the best thing you can possibly do. You say, well, okay, this is a lot of feast and nonsense. You just take it apart at face value, regardless of whether or not they're I don't care if Candace Owens suggests for 1 second that she's representing us. She's not. That's not what she's doing. She's saying, I'm not a glober, I'm not a flatty. Let's talk about science. Like, okay, well, this is all very detrimental. It needs addressing.
Well, that's why you're here. You can take care of that. That's fine.
Fair enough.
My mission, like I told you, has never changed. Ever since I come out here, long before Flat Earth, many years. And my mission was to expose pretender clowns at every step, whether, especially the credentialed ones. So if you're lying, if I catch you lying, and I catch you hiding behind your credentials, and you're all that, and you're using your credentials to spout off your philosophies, and I catch you pretender clowning, you're done. You're finished. That's my mission.
Fair enough.
And you could say that shit's it right here is... Oh, I'm getting a message. Hold on. You could say shit's it right here is credentialed in Flat Earth, since he's the self-appointed Flat Earth representative. I don't see why I shouldn't be.
I'm not saying you shouldn't be. It's just, I'm not saying you shouldn't be. It's just my critique of those two individuals we just discussed, that's Candice and Shane, was met with heavy criticism from my own panel.
What was criticized? Your tactics?
I switched off when they started sounding like they had a demeaning tone about something I was doing. I just kind of switched off.
Your tactics, techniques, that's what was being critiqued?
No, they're just saying you're being too harsh to someone who's green and has come about it from a feast of nonsense. We all got here from that path. You're like, this stands in contravention of everything I've been saying for the last 7 months. Because it's somebody who's outside of the arena talking about the subject. Like, I don't know. It just left a bit of a bitter taste in my mouth, that was all.
Oh, that's what it was. I didn't speak up. I think I was eating or something. I heard what your critiquers had to say. I thought that they made some good points.
Oh, yeah, I mean, absolutely. And by saying it, it made it more balanced if they were suggesting that it was unbalanced as a result of me just basically addressing each point. But for whatever reason, we have to have interpersonal skills and all that kind of garbage. Worry about people's feelings.
I have to go back and listen to that again. Coming to me, the details of it's not coming to me. A lot's happened since then. What was that, the other day?
Yeah. Like 3 years in flat Earth terms, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. It's hot and heavy. What does Evening think about it? Evening.
Sorry about that. Literally, as the show started, my mother-in-law called. We're on a Rhine cruise in Germany, and she's been bit by a mosquito.
Oh, no.
I had to just... Serious medical emergency, but had to be dealt with. So, what did I think of it? Well, I was one of the ones... See, what are you doing to me? So, critiquing self-reporting people. Critiquing people that are arguing within the topic. No problem. I think we're at a seed change here, something that's not happened in the movement before. And Roseanne Barr is another good example. Famous people are starting to discuss it. They're not ashamed. They're not embarrassed by discussing it. They're bringing it out there. And really, it's kind of Christians that are doing it. Start is it Bryce and then maybe leaning on some of that as well. Bryce, but they're bringing the subject out. For me, that would be the distinguishment with them. It's not about critiquing them; it would be about encouraging them. And I don't necessarily think that's the same manner and tone I would hold if that was my goals. And it's not about lauding them because they're celebrities per se, but it's about trying to attract them so that they can spread the word in a more effective manner than we ever could. You've got just one of these people that could get our message across. Wow. Do I think the best way to do that is to critique them like we would a anti-flat earther or a flat earth exponent? I don't think that's probably the most productive.
Okay. I couldn't think of a good enough example off the top of my head, but I'll run with what I've got at the point that you stopped talking. Which is, let's say you're a beekeeper, and there's really specific ways that you want to keep bees. And one of the pitfalls that loses you 20%, 30% of your bees is using plastic hives instead of wood. I'm just making this up, by the way. Just an example. And beekeepers don't get much publicity, have a very difficult time getting themselves out into the media. Then all of a sudden, there's a action of beekeepers that are making it into the media, and the message that they're spreading is use plastic hives. And they're talking about bees. Suddenly everyone's talking about bees. The most important message to the beekeeper is completely lost. In fact, being slightly overshadowed and undermined by popular celebrities who are punting a detrimental message. What does the beekeeper do? Does he jump up and down and say, hooray, bees are in the news? Or does he go, well, this is irritating. I'm on a mission to try and educate people on how to better keep bees. Yeah, bees are in the news, but not in a good way, in the beekeeper's opinion. Should the beekeeper be critical, or should he praise the people who have suddenly got his subject, if you will, into the news that week.
That would be the difference. Should the beekeeper use the same approach that he's had with the people that think bees should be a nonsense, shouldn't be there? Or should he use a different approach with these people that clearly recognise bees and their usefulness, but don't fully understand the complexities of beekeeping? What approach should he use? A different approach or the same approach he had with the anti-bee people?
Fair enough. Just one of those things where you can look back with hindsight at the journey that we've all taken and go, it wasn't a good road. It wasn't a good road. It wasn't paved well. It was a bad road. And you go, well, we want people to get to the place we're at. We want people to understand what the world is. That's what we're doing. I just dislike the road that people are finding their way here because it's, there's no other way to describe it, like a controlled opposition road fraught with pitfalls and nonsense.
Most of it's coming from within.
I don't think it is. I think it seems that way because lots of people have gobbled and then regurgitated the feasts of nonsense. Yeah? You don't have to name names in this instance. But there are plenty of people who are within the Flat Earth community, known by name, talking nonsense, but they've picked up that nonsense because it was there for them to pick up and regurgitate. Now, you're saying, well, they should know better. Well, we need to address the road. Yeah? Now, in the case of Candice and Shane, they just happen to have stepped onto the road, and now I get your criticism. You're saying, well, just because they've stepped onto that road, they're getting stoned by you. That seems unreasonable, just because they've accidentally stepped on a bad road. Yeah, okay. How do we stop people getting on that road? Now, if the suggestion is that is the only road to the end, subject matter end, the flat Earth, the understanding that it's measured flat, that's the only road to get here. Now, if that's the case, I can only praise it, can't I? But I don't. I spend most of my day meaning and undermining the road, the anti-flat Earth road that these people we're talking about now have taken a step onto. Now, I don't like the circumstance. I don't know what to do about it. That's why I'm bringing it up.
Hey everyone.
Right.
Well, can I throw this to Brian as he's just introduced himself, because he was one of the people who was critical of me at the time in terms of my demeanour towards either Shane or Candice Owens as an individual, and for all legitimate reasons. So I'm not asking you to rehash what the other guys. I'm agreeing in terms of that. Do you see? This is something that's frustrated me since we've started covering these bigger names. Now, some people might just say, "Oh, you're just jealous." No, I want what Adam wants. I want them to be representative of a subject matter that I've got a lot of passion for. And when those types of people start coming out into the arena and setting potentially tens of thousands of people on that road that I look back on with disgust, I don't like it, and I want to do something about it. I just don't know what. So, Brian, first of all, have you heard what I've said in terms of what's leaving a better taste in my mouth?
I don't know who Shane is. That has not, like as in in this arena. I don't know who that is. I only
Bryce Mitchell.
Candice. Steve.
Oh,
No! Oh Jesus! No! My God! I couldn't listen to him. No, this is the problem, right? This is my problem. Bryce Mitchell, in my opinion, is only promoting flat Earth because it connects to Christianity. Because the Bible describes more or less a stationary plane. If it wasn't connecting to Christianity, he wouldn't be promoting it as hard. Maybe not at all. Kind of like Witsit promotes flat Earth up to a point, but only as long as it connects to ether. Because his main objective is to promote ether. Bryce Mitchell's main objective, and unfortunately it's the same for a lot of people in our arena, is to promote Christianity. Now, you can prove a creator, right? And a flat stationary enclosed plane proves a creator on its own. but you can prove a creator. But that's not going to validate, as in prove, your spiritual beliefs. Now, someone like Bryce Mitchell is purely pushing this because it connects to his spiritual beliefs. So I couldn't listen to him for a moment. Not only does he mostly not know what he's talking about, but he keeps on referring back to things and bringing in other offshoots that are like conspiracy things that have absolutely no relevance to any geometric or physics evidence that would prove that it's a flat, stationary, enclosed plane, right? Now, so I wash my hands of him completely, and others like him. When it comes to Candace, yeah, my objective with her is to try to be in contact with her before the Ethereans get there, which is David Weiss. I listened to a little bit of that Roseanne Barr. I could only listen to 5.5 or 6 minutes. I had to turn it off. Couldn't deal with it. And while that was on for the 5 or 6 minutes, he literally told either told lies or he just purely hasn't got a clue about what he's talking about. Right, one or the other. But one of the things he says is, he made a point of saying it, is we see too far. Why is he saying that? Is that at this stage purely just accidental? No, he's saying it because Nathan doesn't like it. That's why he's saying it. So that's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with people who are sent to witches.
Whoa.
Yeah, he did.
How'd you make that? How'd you make the conclusion he's doing it because I don't like it?
Well, I don't know for definite that he is, but I have to be open to the possibility. Either way, he's saying it, right? Either way, he's saying it. So the point being is that we need to get to these people before the likes of David Weiss will. Because otherwise, once him and Jerome Campanella, you know, your friend, Nathan, and Winston, right? once they get to them, right? It's like putting poison in. It's like having the pure still water from a lovely pond or something and putting poison into it. That's what it's like for me. And that's what I'm trying to make happen. Now, when I wanted that to happen, you weren't taking it serious.
Of course, it's my fault.
So that's my position on it.
This is basically my fault. I would agree with you, Brian.
All right, this Roseanne Barr thing, her name has come up twice. What in the hell are you guys talking about?
Flat Earth Dave on a podcast. That's it.
But this is the point. Brian's fair. It's too late, Brian. Okay, it's not a race to these people anymore. They're there. Okay? We're already at that stage, way ahead. So it's how can you improve the message after they've had the Dave Weiss experience? That's the reality. Try and pretend. Sorry, it's gone. Yeah? It's on Roseanne Barr this week, mate.
Is it the thing that
but he hasn't been on Candace Owens yet.
What do you think's next? Who's Candace going to look to speak to? Do you think it's a race to get to Candace first? Or
hopefully me.
way of...
Yeah. Go on, Adam.
I don't know, Adam. I don't.
Like with us, we train to standards, not time. So my critique of Nathan is, change what we're doing and to improve the outcome. Yeah, that's the only reason I'm saying it. I'm not decrying Nathan for the message. Everything he said is still true. Just don't know as how beneficial that is when you're talking to a different audience. And a more receptive audience, frankly. You don't even really want a shit sandwich. You just want junior league coaching. Frankly, they're there. They're in the playground. They've turned up novices, and they just need it, to realise where the good training is. Well, don't go over to the dojo master who kicks you in the nuts in the first session, necessarily. That's my point.
It's worse than that. Go on, Kiwi.
Nah, I like the way you phrased that. Go on. It's all you.
The difference is they go to that dojo and they're taught a load of rubbish that gets them into trouble in reality. They don't learn how to defend themselves. They don't learn when to attack or anything. They don't learn these things. So they go off out thinking they have all the tools they need and end up being made a fool out of. That's the problem with their dojo.
What bugs me the
The
most
one that's
is that
working, the one that's getting out there.
I think I want more than anything, or wanted, maybe it's going to be firmly in past tense forever, was that we would be praising Dave's appearance on Roseanne. You know what I mean? The information that made its way to Candice was good information. That's what you want. That's why you're sarcastically saying Jaren's my friend. Why? Because I'm still in contact with him, trying to appeal to him to understand what science is, train him in what fallacies are, so he doesn't have another Netflix. Yeah. Me, I actually do have a huge amount of concern and passion for the subject. So when I see our representatives like Jaren and Dave doing appalling jobs, I wanted, unfortunately I am phrasing this past tense, aren't I, to appeal to them to just understand the subject better. They did not want to know. They were not interested. They attacked me for it. So it's hard not to get disheartened when that road is being reinforced and recobbled by people like Dave and Jaren and Whitsit with garbage and nonsense. We're trying to clean it up, and as quick as it's like trying to clean an oil spill off a beach. If I could say the words. You scrub the rocks clean, the tide comes in, and it all gets covered in tar and crap again. Like, what good am I doing with this toothbrush on this rock?
Well, the problem is that we should be addressing the ballers and not have to spend time on idiots or frauds, let's be more honest, on our own side. But unfortunately, most of our time at present is being taken up with dealing with frauds on our own side, as opposed to the ballers. Sorry, Fatty, you were going to say something?
Yeah, I was gonna say, my patience is starting to wear thin. Like I was listening in last night to the politics server, and I usually really like it when Larry Hank is talking to the Globers on there and whatnot. But I've been hearing him a lot lately talk about, the crisis in cosmology, and that's usually the step that he's taking to discuss this topic at all. And I'm not over here just keeping a board with thumbtacks and string trying to connect dots and stuff. I don't have to do that because he pretty much just said it last night. The reason why he's even talking about that. An anti-flat earther brought up ether. He was like, who in here is an ether believer? And then, Larry spoke up. He popped up and he was like, I'll take that bite. And then he brought up the crisis in cosmology. It's getting to the point. I like your analogy with the road, Nathan, but I kind of came up with my own analogy with I have my own little sanity town and crazy town. And you want to drive me crazy, you've got a lot of terrain to traverse, but now these people have bulldozed a pathway, so it's a well-beaten path straight to Crazy Town, and they're bothering my gatekeepers to open the gate to my Crazy Town, and it's about to happen. I'm telling you, it's driving me insane. It's their agenda. They don't care about flat Earth; they care about ether.
And it's saddening.
Well, we got a rooster in the hen house, an incoherent one. So we got to get that. You got a cancer. You're a tree. Your roots are cancerous. What are you going to do? Put out more leaves to gather more sunlight and not look down at those roots? You better clean those roots up, or you ain't lasting very long. Follow?
Yeah, I like my road analogy better.
We all have good analogies, to be honest with you. Including yours, Clancy.
Yeah, well, your critique about Bryce Mitchell may be warranted, but I think that Candace would be the way to approach her would be the way that we talk about flat Earth and Christianity. So ironic there.
Yeah, I mean, I understand totally why someone who is a Christian could be drawn to this subject, or so how someone drawn to this subject and sees what's there as evidence could then become a Christian. It's that someone like Bryce Mitchell, in my opinion, from what I heard, he's it's like a springboard. It's like it's validating Christianity for him, and Christianity and the promotion of Christianity is his number one objective, and that's okay if that's what he wants to do. But he's given the impression that flat Earth is his objective when it's just he take it or leave it. I think if it didn't validate Christianity, I can't see him promoting it so hard. The same way for sorry, go on, Adam.
So what? Why does that matter? Is he a liar? No. Is he a cheat? Is he somebody that if you gave him the correct information, he'd probably use it to effect? Yeah.
Yes.
Why does he have to perfectly align with my motivation for being here?
It's not about that, Adam. It's about the topic is geometry and a certain amount of physics, right? Obviously, you have to come into it. That's the topic. The topic is not spiritual beliefs, or the topic is the creator. It is the creator, but it's no specific spiritual belief. It's not ether or anything else. The topic is it's clear for me.
He's not out there as just a flat Earth exponent. He's out there as an outspoken Christian man. And one of the things he'll talk about is flat Earth. Now, I'd like him to be empowered with some quality detail when he talks on that topic. Now, when he talks about Masonics stuff and all sorts of anything else, yeah, that I can't do anything about that, yeah, and I'm not bothered about that. But if in any way I could empower him when he talks on the topic that is my focus, my primary focus, and not necessarily his, that's the outcome I'm after, and that's the only thing I would want, that he could speak on that topic more knowledgeably.
I would prefer he stayed away from the topic. He could just say, "I am a flat earther." Yeah, and if someone wants to talk about flat, hang on. I listened to you. If someone wants to talk about flat Earth with him, then they should talk about that, and have a or talking to that person specifically about that. Not bring in all these other things. Just that.
You tell him how to have a dinner party. That's exactly right. This is how you should have a dinner party. Only say these things. You can't do that. It's an unrealistic outcome.
That doesn't mean that I can't prefer it.
I didn't say you have to prefer it. I just say don't waste any energy trying to pursue that as an outcome. Yeah. What's the only outcome is for him to speak knowledgeably about flat Earth. As for the rest,
and that's what we want to impart upon him. Exactly. So what I saw in that guy, who I called Shane, he's actually called Mitchell, was passion. Now, passion across many different fronts, with a sprinkling of flat Earth, but with crappier arguments that are older for flat Earth. Now, my concern for him as an individual is that when you're with a less sympathetic opponent, someone that's not just intrigued and wants you to just, lay out your position and then maybe offer a mainstream counter position that doesn't need a great deal of rebuttal, eventually that person will be in front of somebody that can tear him to shreds. And you go, well, if he was armed with just a couple of really strong arguments, a really good base understanding of how Earth is actually measured, he wouldn't be in a position to be torn to shreds and, moreover, ridiculed for this subject. That's the avoidance that I want from the people who come here new. They don't get easily ridiculed because they've parroted Feast of Nonsense.
Superchat.
Super Mustache, Super Booger. How are you, sir?
It was so funny because he said, without me saying anything, he's like, Tony Whitcomb. I was like, what? He can already read their names.
That's
Tony
correct.
Whitcomb's.
Go on.
Yeah, sorry. He sent, it has amazed me that Dell, Bev, Witsit, Dave, and Jaron have all shifted off point, and yet QE, Nathan, and Flatsoid have stuck to reality all the way.
Huh. Interesting that is, isn't it? Thanks for the super chat, Tony. Appreciate it. Yep, interesting point.
And whose skin?
There's no riddle here. He just came out. Yeah, it's interesting. Thank you.
Adam said it's interesting who's skinned. I was just thinking that same thing earlier when I saw my overdraft and income revenue from YouTube, and I'm like, oh God. Every month I think, is this going to be the end? Is someone going to bail me out? Am I going to get a big super chat? And then, just while I was thinking it, Adam says you can see who's the most skinned. Didn't you, Adam?
Yeah. Look at those lists. I mean, look at that. Dell kits out his own paddy wagon as a homemade camper. I mean, all for that kind of income from YouTube, eh? And then follow the rest. Yeah.
No one sent me that.
I've got no problem.
As you mentioned it, hold on, you just
put
brought up. Sorry, stop. You mentioned Dell in a camper van. Someone said, I don't know who sent me this. This is, I don't know, about a month ago. It looks like a police van. Dell associated with the police. Did it get from a police auction?
Looks it, doesn't it?
Yeah, it had interior shots, and it looked like it was kitted out as like a riot van originally.
Bought it off one of his mates, I assume, considering Dell's clearly old Bill. We all know that. Dell knows it. He tries to hide it, and then goes and gets.
This is a bit of, hold on. This is a bit of a revelation to me. I'm saying it off the cuff because. Hang on a second. Was it you that sent me the picture?
It's me that said, "Look at this. This Dell's."
Was it you? Okay.
Yeah,
things are making a bit more sense.
I mean, certainly a paddy wagon. Look at it inside. You can see it, even though he's put a beautiful double bed.
Don't ask me or Adam why we know what the inside of a paddy wagon looks like, but we do.
You know,
well, I certainly do.
Okay, so what we got up to so far is more or less the state of the union of flat Earth. So what we got is we got popular people getting interested in the subject that have social media influence that are not too up to date with the flat Earth topic. And then on the other side, we get treasonous, treacherous, traitorous, cancerous, eating at our bones that are from within. So that's the state of the union right now. Correct? Am I missing something?
No, yeah, you are missing something.
Yeah.
Are those traitorous, treasonous folks are the ones that are making inroads, doing interviews with the social influencers, modern media? They're the ones that are going to get the message out. Nobody wants to get on TV anymore. You want to be on these people's shows if you want to get a message out. And that's what I'm saying. He's already been on Jesse, now on Roseanne. It's no longer a race to try and get to these people first. They've won that. It's how do we add to that message and empower the people that are clearly interested in flat Earth. They see something there.
Well, what would have been an idea, and I'm not going to hold back, would have been after David Weiss was on Jesse Lee Peterson, would have been for us to publicly ask Jaron and Whitsitt publicly, right, and send everyone in flat Earth to ask them, do you know for certain, and do you know for sure, and without a doubt,
shout out to Betty,
that the Earth is flat? Yeah, and not send them private messages. That was not the way, as I said.
What blew it, Brian?
You know, I wanted them nailed to the wall. I wanted them all publicly whipped if I could do it.
It's a valid point.
And that's not what happened. And
Adam, let him finish.
I just no need for that fly backhand. No need.
I'm going to let you go, Brian.
Adam,
just let me get to the end.
Come on, no, leave Adam say it.
So far, we've just got criticism of me and Nathan, but carry on. So if Adam and Nathan hadn't tried to engage, they wouldn't be on Roseanne. Is that what you're saying?
Well, they wouldn't be accepted by the flat Earth community like they are.
What a load of crap.
No, that's bullshit.
Right.
That's bullshit.
Stop. I've got to fill the audience in because they don't know what we're talking about. Okay, so about, I don't know how many weeks ago now, whatever reason, it was spurred on by Jesse Lee Peterson, wasn't it?
Yes.
So Jesse Lee Peterson asks Dave Weiss, do you know for sure and without a doubt that the Earth is flat? 18 to 20 times. I forget the exact number. Anyway, well into double digits. He couldn't answer the question. Eventually he says, I wouldn't call myself a flat earther, I'd call myself a true earther. And it could be a really big ball. End quote, David Weiss. Obviously, we're shocked and horrified by this. And Adam wanted to know what our compadres, aka the guys over on Globebusters, Witsit, and more specifically Jaren, had to say on the matter. Would they also have dodged the question 20 times? So, Adam put a question together for Witsit and asked me to put the same question to Jaren, which I obliged, sent him the message. He sent a reply, Jaren that is to me, saying, I know it's not a ball, but I also know it's flat. He said other things. Nevertheless, that was the outcome. Brian, just to summarise, so we're back on to where we got to, wanted us to do this publicly. That is to say, name and shame. Out in, I don't know how we'd have gone about it because it never got to that stage. Adam, specifically Adam, nothing to do with me, shouted that idea down completely.
Insured.
I didn't care either way. I was completely down to do whatever the group decided, and I was neutral in all respects.
Super mustache, superficial, super fluid.
Yeah, Tony Whitcomb, he sent, my new job has changed my hours of work and I miss Nathan's epic live shows. I should sack my new gaffer for my suffering, LOL.
What's a gaffer?
I don't know.
Boss, direct boss.
Boss.
Nice,
Okay. Thanks, Tony. Appreciate it. Yeah, but listen, we've been exposing these pretender clowns for how long now? It's been nearly 2.5 years. What have the other flat earthers done? You can't do anything individually. I mean, what are we going to do? Not much. But they haven't got the clue by now? You're saying that would have just turned the tables, Brian? Really?
No, he's not.
What I'm saying is that maybe it's sour grapes out of me, right? But what I'm saying is that I felt that was a massive opportunity to shine a massive light onto them as being frauds. Because the other two, Jaron Campanella and Witsit, had to either go along with what David Weiss said or go against it publicly. And that's what I wanted to have happen. And I just feel it was an opportunity missed. Maybe it wouldn't have had the impact I wanted to have, or I imagine it would have had, but I just felt it was an opportunity missed.
No, and it wouldn't, because we haven't got the massive light shine on them that you talk about. People with massive lights, Bruce Mitchell and this Owens. Yeah.
But the massive light would have been the flat earth community. Flat earthers asking them, because
the flat earth community saw that.
They did, but they weren't spurred on to.
No, because
they did.
Some did, didn't they? There was Banjo. There was the Flatsoids had issues with it. A number of other people. Yeah. Reality-wise, those people critiquing it makes sod all difference. What got out there was just Dave. Yeah, that's all that got out there. Nobody looked at it and thought, "Oh, look at those actual honest flat earthers critiquing it." Nobody hears us, mate.
Nobody saw that
on purpose.
Yep. Well, the greater the popularity that's offered to the ether punting, nonsense spewing, beast of nonsense repeating competitors, which is essentially what they've become, the less inroads there are to us. When I can get a bigger amount of impact to my channel by getting a liked comment on an Eric Debate video, and by making daily live shows, that says something. Thumbscrews are so tightly screwed down on us, it's untrue.
And that's genuinely why where we started, why all us guys critique Nathan, because he's not into social media and stuff, neither is QE. He's never even heard of Candace Owens, for God's sakes, yeah? So when the rest of the Flat Earth crew and the Discord group community as well, particularly, they were very vehement on this. Saw this, they were so against it for this reason. This is a different opportunity and needs to be dealt with differently. Send them their book. Do you know what I mean? That's what they need. Yeah, guidance, and that's the opportunity. And like I said, I started with it's very different time. It's not about affording people kid gloves It's just about trying to forge a relationship. This, not even needing to critique, just offering help. And if we can do that, then we'll have this big, massive light that then can be. Well, imagine, Brian, if we could just get one of these people, yeah, whether it's Candice with her analytical mind, or Brees, who'd shred it apart with his biblical understanding. Once they got hold of somebody trying to pimp ether into this topic, both of them would shred it from the two reasons that, are very different. Can we get it to them so that they're empowered enough to see the bullshit, to smell the grift? No one is yet.
But it's on the way.
Well, sorry.
No, but it's on the way. Right? We're going to try this route. The next route. Nathan, you want to speak to that?
What's the next route?
The book.
What's this route? Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of hopes being pinned on this book. It's been written, rewritten, redrafted, and is currently going through another draft. And will be very highly polished, and it'll be a good book. I can say that, given that it was in a state that could have been published about a month ago. But everybody who's talking currently on this show wanted to put their 2 pennyworth in and get it even better. And it will be. It's just taking longer as a result. Now, the idea is that is typically an inroad to people like Roseanne Barr or Candice Owens. That's why people go on people's shows, promote books. Now, obviously, it's great if it's a good book. It's going to have lots of glossary references that people will use. And we're hoping that that's what it'll turn into, more of a reference book in that regard, because half the book is going to be, when it's in electronic form at least, hyperlinked back to the glossary. And literally 50% of the book is going to be referencing what specific terms mean. As an example, Feast of Nonsense. When that's mentioned in the book, it's either hyperlink or flick to the back of the book and look at what that means. Well, there's all sorts of inroads that could potentially open. Now, I have never had a book before, so I don't know what inroads they will open up for me, if any at all, but I'm being assured by lots of people around me that it will make a massive difference. So, right, all I really want from it, or the main purpose for me, because of the financial circumstances we typically find ourselves in when we are of this particular ilk, that is only interested in disseminating the actual truth of the matter with Earth being measured flat, my financial reward from it is what I'm most hoping for, as sad as that may sound, because primarily I want to pay the mortgage, and it's always a struggle. So when someone comes along and says there might be an extra revenue stream that you can afford from this, you're like, oh yes, please, definitely need that. But the external or the periphery benefits that might also be afforded from having a book on this subject that specifically details what we go through on the Flat Earth Debate and Ballbusters shows will also open people's eyes to what we talk about, if they read it, if they buy it. So I think that's what you were hinting for me to talk about, QE. I don't know if I've done a good job. I rolled with whatever I thought best based on that comment.
No, you're fine. Yeah, I just wanted people know that there is a book coming. What I like to consider the ultimate flat earth reference. And if we get that book in right people's hands, because like you said, a lot of people like to do interviews, the social media, YouTube, podcasts. They like to do book reviews and then interview the quote-unquote author, right? I see that branching out. For me, that's inroads into, it might just explode. Then again, it might not, but I'm willing to take that chance. But we got some work to do left. I got some high expectations, to put it lightly.
We talked a couple of, Nathan said, oh, give us your elevator pitch, which is fine, the majority of these things. But there comes a point where you say, well, give me a proposal. Present me a proposal. This book's not going to be exhaustive, but it's going to take you down the right roads of how to deal with this and how to look at it. And that's the thing. Yeah, this book then goes to people like Candice, all these kind of social influencers who have got like interns that will be tasked with reading it. There's so much in there that you've actually got something, instead of just go and watch Nathan Oakley on Flat Earth Debate and try and pick some out of that, yeah, you've actually got something that their own camps will then research. You're handing them something. You're selling them something. Before, all we're doing is shouting on the street saying, honest, it's really good. Please keep listening to me. Yeah? Now you're handing a real proposal in terms of business terms when you're dealing with these people. Yeah, because you're not dealing with Discord. Like I said, you're dealing with people that in of themselves are trying to generate an income. Do they want them? How has Dave got on there? He's got these people that are selling a product to them. We haven't got a product. This is the first product we'll have for what we're pimping. And it won't necessarily be perfect, but it will be in the right direction.
Oh, yes, it will.
Correction, Adam. There is the Black Swan T-shirt.
Where is that? Buy those. There's the website still up.
Yeah, so, I mean, it may be an inroad to something, but it's based on my past experience over the last 10 years. Building the channel has been nothing but, you know, tooth and claw, or however they describe it. You know, fingernails in the walls trying to climb up. That's what it's been. So, when people suggest these sorts of things to me, and I've had loads, believe me, over the 10 years, people making suggestions of what I need to do to make the channel massive overnight, and they never, ever, ever do anything more than slowly keep the numbers ticking up in the right direction, which, don't get me wrong, if I hadn't been doing those things, maybe that wouldn't be the case. And it is continually going up in the right direction, but very, very slowly. Like I say, I've had more impact on the channel in the last 6 months. I'm having a liked comment on an Eric DeBay video. That should speak volumes. That make a difference. More difference than most other things that I do, publishing videos. Sometimes half a dozen videos a day. Doesn't make any difference. So throttled by YouTube and general media.
Yeah, but that's
There are
why
no
we're
inroads
talking
to us.
about.
There's no-
That's why this is different, though. So that's
Maybe.
what we.
Maybe.
Yeah, it is. I'm gonna make it so.
Well, I truly hope so. It'd be nice to go out on a little tour and see the impact on the debate, the show.
Yeah.
My real passion is that, you know, running a YouTube channel, building up the channel, building up the show, building up the audience with the information. Obviously, that's primary to building up all those things, secondarily to the information. Just don't want people to think that's the primary focus. Obviously, the name is the clue to what we're doing when we talk about flat earth debate. And that's what my passion is. So for me, as much as it might create a new inroad, that seems like such a lofty ambition. That would be my end goal. That would be my end hope. Does it grow the channel a little bit more? Because if it does, then there's more people potentially that can give me super chats, send me PayPal, do all the things that are mercenary, that keep the lights on, basically. Keep my head just above the water at the moment. Most of the time struggling for air, but some of the time I can gasp. It'd be nice if that wasn't the case after 10 years. But there we go. That's me. I'll stop bitching about money.
Yeah.
It's very crass.
Please. Because, and I was a bit selfish back then where I said I was going to make it perfect. I'm not the only one. There is a team that will make it perfect. And we won't accept anything less. Now, can we get on to the show?
What show?
This is the show.
I have one thing to say.
Oh, man. Go.
Right, let's stop that. Hold on, Brian. Let's nip that in the bud. You thought I was joking. This is the show. Right, if we happen to cover a bit of Witsit while we're actually jiving, which is now, don't put the kibosh on that. Don't shut us all down just
I'm
because you want
putting
to
a
rattle your way
kibosh
through
on
bloody
it. It's
Witsit.
time to move on. I didn't kibosh anything.
No, that's not. That's my point. What do you mean it's time to move on?
Time to
It's
move
not.
on. We said what we said, and that's it.
Oh, I see. We've said what we've said, Brian.
No, Brian
Well,
can
I
add.
have a separate point
Jeez,
of
oh
what to do
man,
with
Brian can add his last thing if he wants. That's fine. Go on, Brian.
that. Yeah, the ballers think this level is three-dimensional. Let's get down to the pertinent important things. The ballers don't understand that level is two-dimensional. No point higher or lower than another. That's 2 dimensions.
Thank you, Nathan. That was
Hey,
right on topic.
I just needed to put that out there.
You were talking to Dermot O'Leary.
All right, let's see what we got here. Prepare yourself. Go ahead, jump in Discord and jump into my live stream. We're going to do the 5-second thing, check the volume, and then we're going to move. This is going to be the Lore Lodge. That's these two bows up here, Fat Boy and Dwayne Allman. Dwayne Allman's going to be the star of the beginning of this show. Oh, boy, wait till we get there. And we have Boy Zero to Sky Grifter. And let's see how this interaction plays out. So here comes a volume check. I'll play 5 seconds.
In that phenomenon.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's important to understand the variables from the.
Yeah. Yes? Hello?
Perfect. Perfect.
Yeah, I'm checking YouTube chat as soon as they you just now playing it on there, so
All right. Let's wait a second. Let me go ahead and put this back up.
The light attenuates.
I just want to say.
So real quick,
Oh, boy. What the?
all good on YouTube.
Go ahead, Brian.
I was just going to say that the Black Swan T-shirts were very good. I bought one.
Thank you. Here we go.
In case anyone thought I was putting them down.
Here we go.
I would like to shift gears a little bit here just in terms of atmospheric elements because that reminds me of something.
You'd like to shift gears into a paradox. Atmospheric elements. What the hell is that? Number one, atmosphere is, like I said, a paradox. Atmo means air. Air is a gas. Sphere is a shape. Gases have no inherent shape, Dwayne. What the hell are you talking about atmospheric elements for? You're going to train wreck yourself, aren't you, retard? Go on.
Something that I saw a little bit earlier, which is, so I'm very amateur into meteorology, partially because I like to spend a lot of time on the water.
You're amateurish into meteorology because you spend time on the water? Huh? First of all, meteorology is not natural science, number one. Number two, are you saying that people on land are not interested in meteorology either? Is that what you're saying there, Dwayne? Tie your dumb ass to a whipping post.
Particularly on the ocean, and it's very important to understand how meteorology works in that regard because not only
It's very important to understand how meteorology works on the ocean, really. This is going to be deep.
are you surrounded by water and a lot of, things can happen very quickly.
Isn't that new Twisters movie with loads of meteorologists? Is that at sea?
I don't know. I just seen an ad for that. That looked pretty good.
I'm not speaking for knowledge here. It's a question. They're meteorologists, aren't they?
Most, I don't know in that movie, but yeah, people who study tornadoes are essentially, officially meteorologists, yes. So
Not on boats, are they?
I didn't think they were on a boat. I didn't say.
They're really interested.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's
he's
my
just,
point.
just let him train wreck himself. Just hold on.
But it's also just generally preparing for it and understanding why things are happening quickly and things like that. But
He's trying to understand why things happen and how quick they happen. That's what he's trying to understand. Everyone got it?
just a little brevity on that.
Just some brevity on the incoherent nonsense.
Just ask a quick question.
What's that?
Is it not? Would it, when you talk about meteorology, is it not more accurately an in-depth study of entropic effects?
You could put in that, but you could explain pretty much anything and everything with entropic effects. But yeah, you can go that route if you want.
I was just thinking dispersion, in terms of high pressure to low pressure systems.
Sure.
Pressure specifically is what you're talking about when you're talking about tornadoes and meteorology. Obviously, you can describe anything with it, though. It's fine. Undermine it all you like.
One thing that occurs on the Earth that we see in hurricanes and typhoons is...
This is for you.
is hurricanes. I believe it's in the northern hemisphere, especially around the Florida area.
Really?
Yes, because we see them a lot.
Yes, be quiet. Don't ruin this.
You just
In the northern hemisphere.
You just add
We've heard
ease.
enough. You can't expect us to not get triggered. We now know what's coming. I thought it was going to give us some interesting little tidbit about being on a boat and the weather or meteorological effect that he studied. I thought we were going in that direction. No, it's Coriolis. Now we all know. We're all triggered. We don't need to hear anything else. We know
No.
exactly where he's going.
No.
We're all sighing and groaning.
Now, don't anticipate. You think it's the Coriolis effect. It's not. So just relax.
Atmosphere, especially around the Florida area, because we see them a lot in that.
You just won't do
They
it.
clever word. Because he's going to talk about which way something spins, which I know and you know isn't the Coriolis effect, but that's not going to stop him talking about it, though, is it?
You gonna let this
Everybody
go?
take a chill pill. Huey wants to play it all the way through. So for the next 20 seconds, nobody groan, nobody laugh, nobody give any colour commentary. Go ahead, Huey.
I'll give the color commentary up to the point where I want to stop it. You'll know exactly where that is.
And typhoons is hurricanes. I believe it's
It wasn't me.
I'm gonna kick. I'll tell you what. I'm gonna mute you.
I didn't realise I was on
In the
mute. I'm sorry. I was just taking a deep breath.
He's doing it deliberately, Huey. Tell him off. Tell him off.
in typhoons is hurricanes. I believe it's in the northern hemisphere, especially around the Florida area, because we see them a lot in that area, given the atmospheric conditions.
You see hurricanes in Florida because the atmospheric conditions. Really, Dwayne? That statement is so moronic. It's retarded. He's just a doofus.
Yeah.
They spin, I believe, clockwise in the northern hemisphere.
Now, in the northern latitudes, Dwayne, they spin counterclockwise. Somebody needs to tie your dumbass to a whipping post.
Can I just
What
say,
would that not be due to?
claim,
Hold on. Counterclockwise to what? respect to
they're
what?
claimed to. Nobody sees this.
Yeah, they do.
People no one sees a hurricane, they experience a hurricane.
No.
You don't know what the hell is going on.
Nope, I'm going to show you in a minute. Just that you guys are out over your skis. Just chill.
Whereas typhoons in the southern hemisphere, which it's another name for the same, weather event, spins counterclockwise.
No, they spin clockwise.
And the globe model,
The globe model, which you don't have and no one's ever shown, does what?
attributes that to the Coriolis effect, which
I told you it wasn't the Coriolis effect. It's the Coriolis effect. Listen up.
and
The
the
Don
globe model
Coriolis effect,
attributes
by the
that
sound
to
of it.
Shut up!
Oh, sorry, you're the only one allowed to laugh at it.
Yeah, I'm going to play it again.
counterclockwise. And the globe model attributes that to the Coriolis effect, which
Don Coriolis.
It's
Neil,
the Don.
Cornholio.
It's the Don Coriolis effect. It's the WAP effect.
It's from Beavis and Butthead. He's Cornholio.
Oh, super fluid, super idiot.
Flat Earth Travolta said, "Show glob model, prove Coriolis." Say that 10 times fast.
That's a good one.
All right.
Okay, right. Just before we get into it, because I was shut down earlier, it was blatantly bloody obvious where this was going, but QE just wanted the jape of him saying Cornholiolius, which is funny, but I'm going to take the opportunity to just break down what Coriolis effect actually is before we go any further, which is to say, Coriolis is an effect that you would observe if you were on a non-inertial turning frame of reference. That would be to say you're on child's roundabout like at the park. The effect is you observing something like a ball tossed over the top of the roundabout between two people who aren't attached to the spinning roundabout. So the two people are standing either side of the roundabout on the pavement or on the concrete or whatever, not on the roundabout. And they're tossing a ball back and forth in a straight line, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. You're on the roundabout underneath, watching them toss a ball to each other. From your vantage point on the roundabout, the ball looks like it curves. That looking like it's curving is Coriolis effect. The effect of
No,
it
it's not.
looking like it's curving when it's actually traveling straight from the turning reference frame. That's
Not
what
a
Coriolis.
Coriolis effect.
Excuse me?
Not a Coriolis effect.
The Corleone. Someone having a laugh.
That's not the
It's not-
Corleone.
Sorry, but you don't
Cornelius.
know.
It's not the Cornholios effect, no.
That's
Coriolis.
Don Corleone's there.
Just to summarise, fun aside, I just want to finish out. Just to summarise, it's the deflection observed in the inertial reference frame as observed from the non-inertial turning reference frame. That's Coriolis.
Apparent deflection.
It's the effect of mass moving in a rotating system. Sorry.
No, it's got nothing to do with the mass. It's got everything to do with the observation from the turning reference frame.
It's the effect on a mass moving in a rotating system experiencing a force, which is a Coriolis effect.
No, that's incorrect. The ball's travelling in an inertial reference frame. You're moving in a non-inertial reference frame. The effect is the not actual deflection.
You just invoked a force. What force
Yeah.
are you invoking in Coriolis force? Dude?
There is no force.
It's
No force.
Corleone.
No, he said
Apparent-
It doesn't matter because you deny every force anyway.
All right.
No. I didn't deny every force. I asked you.
Adam, he's
What
been
you-
put on mute, rightly so. The guy's a dick, doesn't understand what Coriolis is. He was asked what force it is. He's told you in rebuttal, you would deny any force I claim. There
point.
isn't a force, it's a deviation that's apparent. That means not actually occurring. The ball tossed over the roundabout travels straight. The effect being described is the curving of a ball that's actually going straight. That is to say, it's a not actual force. Coriolis force is the force that curves the ball. It's not curving. There is no force. It's an apparent deviation. It seems to be deviating when it isn't really. You're turning underneath. Anyway, that's what Coriolis is. As soon as you actually define what Coriolis is, somebody wants to tell you they're wrong. Because does that effect have anything to do with turning tornadoes? No, it doesn't. A tornado's moving straight and seeming to curve as you turn underneath them? No. But the ball needs to invent imaginary effects and claim that they're proving Earth is turning. So we have the effect of the ball spinning. Oh, no, that's not Coriolis anymore.
It's not tornadoes.
Neither is-
It's hurricanes and typhoons. Sorry, I have to.
He was at any of this. But it was interesting how quick he was to invoke a force, which they all are. When just to get to this next step, which denies again Coriolis, that would be friction at best. What's about to be described, if you presuppose a rotating ball, yeah, but not Coriolis. And
What was good was the way he denied their claim about star rotation not happening. He completely denied that there without realizing it.
Don't worry about him.
Without realizing it.
Yeah, don't worry about it. We're gonna get the hurricanes right here. Go ahead and rejoin the my live stream in Discord. I had to get back out and come back in because it won't show it. So let's get right on topic. So hurricanes in the northern latitudes, they spin counterclockwise. In the southern latitudes, they spin clockwise, as easily shown here. We've all seen them, right? So, you're saying that hurricanes spin in opposing directions in the northern versus southern latitudes, respectively, caused by the Coriolis effect? I'd sure like some angel dust lace shrooms these idiot space monkeys are snorting. Number one, effects or consequence don't frigging cause their antecedents. It's called the Coriolis effect, not the Coriolis cause. Number two, apparent deflections are not frigging spins. Number three, please focus on apparent deflections, not real, appears, does not actually, in the following citations on what the exact Coriolis effect is. Let's take a look at this and let's see if this is really the Coriolis effect. How about that? Uh-oh, I'm stuck again. All right, 1 second. Sorry about that.
I think this is a good opportunity to say subscribe to Nathan Oakley 1980 and Nathan Oakley channel, respectively.
Good opportunity. Huey, the titles, subtitles, Coriolis effect. Yeah? Like I alluded to earlier, the first thing you want to do is invoke a force. Force may be applicable if you want to move things. This is not a force. It is an effect caused by a non-inertial rotating reference frame, yeah, and an observer upon it looking at something travel in a straight line. It's an effect.
I got it. Let's get it officially. Seeger Douglas, Introduction to Ocean Sciences, 2nd edition, Critical Concept Reminders, the Coriolis effect. When set in motion, freely objects including air, that's atmo or gas, and water masses, that's clouds and water vapor, move in straight paths while the Earth continues to rotate independently. Remember what we're looking for. Apparent deflections, not real, appears, does not actually. Because freely moving objects are not carried with the Earth as it rotates, they are subject to an apparent deflection called the Coriolis effect. To an observer rotating with the Earth, freely moving objects that travel in a straight line appear to travel in a curved path on the Earth. To University of Oregon and University of Florida.edu, they both say the same thing, so we'll just take the University of Florida. The effect of the Coriolis force is an apparent deflection of the path of an object that moves within a rotating coordinate system. The object does not actually deviate from its path, but it appears to do so because of the motion of the coordinate system. Utah State, the Coriolis force is an imaginary force. So what they're saying, imaginary forces are twisting hurricanes. Really? Makes perfect sense because objects affected by it are really following a straight path. It is an apparent deflection we see from the vantage point, frame of reference of the rotating Earth. California State University, the Coriolis effect describes the apparent deflection, curving of an object traveling in a straight line. From encyclopedia.com, within its rotating coordinate system, the object acted on by the Coriolis effect appears to deflect off its path of motion. This deflection is not real. It only appears to happen because the coordinate system that establishes a frame of reference for the observer is also rotating. So, you see all them? Here comes the punchline. What does an actual spin have to do with the Coriolis effect, which is an apparent deflection, not real, appears, does not actually, and this deflection is not real? Por favor? Answer key. Absolutely nothing. In other words, how can clouds be apparently deflecting, spinning actually? It's a violation of the law of non-contradiction on nuclear steroids. Done. It's over. Good?
Done.
Yeah?
Not
Did you hear
exactly.
that? It has absolutely nothing to do with it.
That's taking the mickey out of me. Anyway, there's a caveat before we discuss it. I will let you all pile in after. Right. What QE's just gone through is twofold. Number one, all of his citations were accurate descriptions of the Coriolis effect, with one caveat. Some of them incorporated a globe-based description to that accurate description. That is to say, when it described Coriolis with an Earth-centric description, the Earth-centric description would also have the consequences that we debunk that rhetorically accurate description that QE just cited. Let me just expand a little bit more. Most of the time when we are discussing this Coriolis effect, like with the example, Law Lodge in this example, they get it wrong. They don't know what Coriolis is. What QE's done is cited accurately what Coriolis is, and some of it has a globe context to it. Now, with that in mind, we'll take as read globe context based descriptions of Coriolis, which suggests that in one example, clouds move in a straight line and appear to take a curved path because you turn underneath the clouds. That's an accurate claim of an Earth-based Coriolis. The problem is, if you have an object that is traveling straight as you turn underneath it, then you're claimed to be turning underneath stuff in the sky. Consequences being, you launch a drone and it hovers, and the clouds it's hovering in are moving. No, they're just stationary too. Earth is turning underneath them. That would mean that if you launch that drone on the claim to be equator derived from flat Earth measurements of Polaris, and in your ball belief, you launch the drone and Earth turns underneath at 1,000 miles an hour. So the drone would disappear from your point of view at 1,000 miles an hour. Not because it can fly at 1,000 miles an hour, but as per the description QE just gave, Earth-centric in context, you would turn underneath the drone so that you could nudge your mate and go, oh, check it out. That drone looked like it just flew away at 1,000 miles an hour. It didn't really. We were turning underneath. It was apparently flying 1,000 miles an hour because we turned underneath it. That's the consequences. QE's example is Charlotte, North Carolina to Los Angeles. Flight time 4.5 hours. With Earth turning underneath as claimed in those citations, it would reduce the flight time to 1.5 hours. Because Earth's turning underneath. For the guy on the ground to nudge the guy and go, oh, look, check it out, the plane looks like it's drifting. It's not, it's going in a straight line, and Earth is turning underneath it. Because that would be the consequences of their actual claim to be Earth-based Coriolis effect. That's things in the sky drifting because the Earth's turning underneath them. The problem is Earth isn't turning underneath anything. The only example you can actually offer is the stars at 15 degrees an hour. That would be Earth claimed to be heliocentrically turning underneath the stars that from your vantage aren't actually moving, just seem to be moving because the Earth turns underneath them. Well, that claim comes with consequences that the sky itself is in a non-inertial frame, an inertial frame of reference. And you are on a non-inertial turning reference moving underneath it. We'd notice. Further examples include gyros and pendulums swinging back and forth in straight lines in the case of pendulums, and Earth turning underneath them to knock over dominoes. Like, that's Earth turning underneath that pendulum because they're only supposed to swing in a straight line. It's not actually curving. Earth's claim to turn underneath stuff. Utterly absurd, and would have major consequences on flights. The drone example and a hot air balloon, and you if you jumped up and down. Main problem is that most of us get it wrong. This guy's getting it wrong. He's talking about relative direction and turn in the point of view of the thing in the inertial reference frame. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He doesn't understand Coriolis. He's essentially giving a globiolus description because he's read it off Wiki and doesn't understand the actual effect and what would be needed to induce it. And when you do understand what would be needed to induce it, you must accept that we'd see effects of it that simply do not happen. I hate this subject. I absolutely despise it. And shock and horror, the moment I start clarifying the actual position, a fundy jumps in off the public gateway to shut me down and tell me I'm wrong. Course. Half of the course.
Not just the fundy, Nathan. Sorry, I'll go after Adam. Go on, Adam.
Because I want to ramble if I can, so you go first.
Yeah, I'll be quick. You all missed what happened there. We just met Don Coriolis. That's who that guy was. He actually said it the same way as the guy on the video. I thought the guy was only joking. Yeah, I thought the guy was only joking. He was dead serious.
Should I do a Brian and take the hump and say, I'm leaving, nobody respects my valuable opinion on this. You're just making jokes. Fine, I'm leaving.
Excuse me, Piers, that's not what I do. Go on, Adam.
That's exactly what you do. Anyway, go ahead, Adam. So that Brian doesn't get a chance to give me a response.
The point I want to end with is what you say, the flight from LA to Charlottesville would be affected. And that would be as a consequence of having 2 frames of reference.
You got it backwards. It's a flight from Charlotte, North Carolina to Los Angeles.
They'll be affected, even if you flew the other way.
It will be, but that's not what we're talking about. Within the context of my example, it's from Charlotte.
You don't know yet, psychic. The point I want to just bring it back to, really, is understanding what we said about Coriolis effect. I'll recognise. Now, Nathan pulled it back to a couple of points where sometimes it's reference to the Earth, and there would be that effect that we ultimately get to with regards to the airplane flight. But what they want to do is invoke why hurricanes spin in a particular way. Now, if we were to presuppose the nonsense of a spinning Earth, what they're invoking here is not Coriolis effect. It's frictional forces. Okay, and in doing so, to cause these frictional forces to cause the direction of wind, they in and themselves invoke 2 reference frames, and they abandon the apologetics they're going to use to explain why it's the same either way, which is to invoke 1 reference frame, i.e. the air is lockstep with it. But to invoke the hurricane or typhoon nonsense, you have to invoke 2 reference frames and actual real forces. That the frictional force of the rotating surface is causing the air to rotate in a particular direction, as described, because the rotational speed nearer the equator is a greater ground speed, and nearer the pole is a lesser ground speed, hence why you get the rotational difference. That's what they have to do to invoke that, and let them, because they then invoke the 2 reference frames. And once you're in that second reference frame, the non-rotating inertial reference frame, there will then be the effect. But don't jump straight to that point. Make them. Fine. Go along, enjoy it as they describe to you why it's spinning this way and that way. Yeah, and invoke frictional forces based on a rotational Earth. Lovely. But just remember that at this point there isn't a first law of thermodynamics violation where they're invoking rotational matching speed, which is what they'll invoke later.
Or you could just have them get to the point where they say planes fly backwards. You could do it that way too. There's many different ways to train wreck this.
No, that's high end, and even I struggle to get someone. Do it now, QE, because honestly, to get somebody to that point, you've got to lead them, and it is difficult.
This is where I hand over the props that are deserved. Right, the only reason I'm good at Coriolis is because my first step was with QE holding my hand, telling me it'd be okay, stroking my hair gently, pressing my skin. Anyway, on that first step, you for me find yourself in a horrible pit of hell that's convoluted and disgusting. But once you've come out the other side clean, you can then do what QE does. If you've got the patience to lead somebody eloquently, not scare them off the path they want to be on, because they definitely want to be on it. They want to be telling you about, what's the term they use? Something about rotational forces.
Conservation of angular momentum.
Conservation of angular momentum. God, I should have known that. Once they're on that path, right, gently keep them on that path, because you can have a plane flying backwards at the end of it in their own words as a consequence of their nonsense.
Let me just tell you that that's only happened one time, and I recorded it only once, because they will never let you get there. Tell you that.
Before you continue, that is a level of patience. That's what I'm saying, and which is non-QE like, because
Very
to
much.
allow them to invoke the conservation of angular momentum is one thing, but to allow them to do it knowing that that doesn't solve the problem or actually give them what they're about to invoke, that's the worst. This is why sometimes you've got to be patient and let them hang themselves. Go ahead, invoke conservation of angular momentum. Yeah, because it's the bit when you then take them to a satellite in space that then hangs them by giving them that, even though you could chop them off at the knees, because that's not conservation of angular momentum. But give it them by their own bullshit description.
I think QE is just a masochist and basically feels that someday that pain will be worth the payoff. It's worth the patience being put in because of the convolution. Therefore, the end result is a beautiful rose that sprouts from garbage. I have actually heard that one recording. We did play it on one of the Flat Earth debate shows because you were very excited to play it, and it was hilarious hearing the fundy take himself where you wanted to take him. And you, at the end, you were like, just say it. And he did. It was epic.
We might play it here. I might play it at the end of the show. So let's can we continue on?
And let's play it now. Oh, can you dig it out? We can chat for 2 minutes.
You want me to dig
it
out?
Right moment to play it. Yeah, this is the right moment to play it, isn't it?
Yeah, if you can, that'd be brilliant.
Yeah, I have 2 complaints to make anyway, so
I got 2 complaints.
Of course you have, Brian. Of course. We would expect
let
nothing
me
less.
do the platitudes, and then you can fill it. Because like I said, it's un-QE-like, because you have to allow them to beg the question. You have to allow them to make something that's so galling, because you know what conservation of angular momentum is. But you've got to allow them to make that apologetics within the ball reference, but within the ball paradigm, yeah? And let them keep going. And that's where QE gets them to that point, then takes them to, isn't it? Takes them to space, and then says, "Ooh," and
while you're saying this, I'm going to give the complete opposite just for balance. Don't do this. Don't allow them to beg the question. Don't allow them to allow Globiolus to be the rhetoric that you will argue within the context of. I'm suggesting none of this should be the case. Understand what Coriolis effect actually is, and the moment it gets mentioned, keep it there with an actual definition of what it, like I did with the guy that jumped in. What's that? No, it's the force in the inertial. No, it isn't. No, it's the non-inertial reference frame that you must be a part of observing something seen to drift. That's it. Not, all right, so Earth and atmosphere, the unbonded gas is violating the first law as it increases its radial value and keeps in lockstep with something it's not bonded to. Okie dokie, this will be worth the payoff of a plane going backwards. I don't agree. It is worth the payoff when it does happen. You can be that armchair quarterback the whole time it fails. Then what? Jump up and down for joy with everyone else when you hear what we're about to get played. And it isn't worth the payoff. It is for QE because he can get it there. 99.9% of others, including me, would not.
Well, that's why I said this is a rare one, but I still think it's this is where I like to go. I don't have to jump on people in debate. I like to let people speak first, and then deal with that. You know what I mean? And I think Brian's pretty similar.
Just about QE can always share on the screen.
Look, Adam, Brian's got several complaints. I don't think you realise what's going on here. Go ahead, Brian.
No, I was trying to say I know I'm trying to go in the middle of Adam. It's just I think QE doesn't know he's sharing his screen. Just wanted to tell him that. Sorry, Adam. I'll
Do
go
we
in
see any
after
of his
you.
revenue stats?
What
Do we
did
see anything
what were we
interesting?
looking
I
at?
wasn't
Adam.
looking. I should have been.
Go, Adam.
Russian babes, was it again?
It's just his videos. It wasn't anything exciting, I don't think.
No,
I
nothing
just
was
wanted
nothing
to
was
know,
on
that's
there.
all.
Nothing was on
But,
there. I got the treatment, the BALLBUSTERS placard on there. Unless you're looking inside.
We were seeing videos, your videos or something like that.
Oh yeah, I
You're
can't
like a
If you're
find.
YouTube
sharing in
channel.
Discord, it's fine.
Yeah, I
Fine.
can't find any more videos on Studio because the sucker won't search. Their new studio, idiots, magoos. But I found it anyway. You ready?
I was about to tell you that.
Well,
Go on,
the-
mute up. Mute up. Oh, is there a super chat? We'll get that out of the way.
Flatty,
before-
it's on this.
No, I was going to say that Divergent Droid had it in the chat for you, but if you've already got it, go ahead.
Yeah, I got it. Hey, go ahead and hook up the Quantum Eraser live, and then you'll get it. Here we go. This is Danny T. Truther, 1 November 2019, 24/7 2.0 Discord.
I agree that projectiles are a pretty bad example of Coriolis because there just wouldn't be
There is no
a
Coriolis
significant
effect.
of an example. But what about ones where they do it with like fluids? Like what
There
the
is no
best?
Coriolis effect.
Wait, you're talking
Because
about
if
you're
there
flushing your
was-
toilet,
okay,
Danny?
Wait a second. You
not
defined
the
it.
toilet, not the toilet.
No, I didn't say the toilet. Hold on a second. Do I got to put you on mute again?
Do it.
You already defined the Coriolis effect correctly. Well, kudos to you. You're the first baller that you must have been listening to that Nathan Oakley Hangouts for a while, so you got it. So if that be the case, see, my argument isn't the Coriolis effect. My argument is the Coriolis causes, right? If the Coriolis causes are true, then a flight from North Carolina, Charlotte, to LA on the same latitude line, roughly, traveling at 500 miles per hour would take 1.5 hours straight flight. Why does it take 4.5?
That's a good point.
Am I on mute still?
No.
Okay. So when the airplane lifts off from the runway, it's let's say lifts off going 500 miles per hour, which it doesn't, but to
Let's
make
say
it
it's
simple.
let's say hold on a second. Let's say the runway is facing west.
Okay.
Okay.
Exactly. Even simpler. Yeah. Okay.
Good.
So if the Earth were spinning at 1,000 miles per hour, and it lifted off-
860. I'm sorry.
Right.
Sorry for interrupting you. At that latitude, it's 860
Okay.
miles an hour.
so at 860, so then it would be going 1,360
No, it wouldn't.
in a reference frame with respect to the Earth, in a reference frame that
No.
was outside of
No,
Earth.
wait a
which no
second.
one
The
lives in.
plane. Hold on a second. Takeoff speed is about 175 miles an hour. So
Okay.
the Earth is spinning from west to east at 860 miles an hour.
Right.
Right? Are you saying the plane is going backwards?
Well, not on Earth. No.
When it takes off? If it was
No.
conserving momentum, right?
Right. Yeah. If it was conserving
I got
momentum.
you by the balls.
No. You're right. You're actually right. If you're conserving momentum
The ball.
and you were at a stationary point in space, which nobody is at,
No.
then yeah, you would see the airplane and the Earth passing you by, and the airplane's actually going. Yeah.
Go ahead, say it.
That would be correct.
Say it.
Well, it's
Say
no
it.
different. Okay. Can I give you an example? I know this is if
No,
I'm
no,
in a
no,
car.
no. We're on my example. Say it. If the person is standing, if the person is in the in the
Yes,
inertial
in the
reference
rest-
frame. Hold
yes.
on. I'm gonna have to fucking mute you. So, the Earth is spinning from west to east at 860 miles an hour. The plane is taking off directly west to its target in LA, and it's going 175 miles an hour. If it's conserving momentum, are you telling me the person in the inertial reference frame is seeing the plane going backwards?
Yes.
Ah!
That's right. I know that, but you know that's the answer, though.
Danny,
Are you
you're not thinking
recording?
about
Are you
reality.
recording?
Beat me up. You're beating me up, Scotty.
So are
Beat me
you
up,
are you
Danny.
still
Oh my
That'll
struggling?
do. That'll do. Good. That's good.
That'll do it.
That's perfect. Yeah. Don't play your can laughter. That was epic. Yeah, absolutely epic. Yeah. So the plane's going backwards. That's the consequences of their nonsense, isn't it? When they conserve momentum, so it's retaining 1,000 miles an hour east.
Yep.
Okie dokie then. 800, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. Okie dokie. I'll take you right where you want to go. And it's not going to smell good.
Very, very dangerous game. That made it sound easy. It wasn't.
Yeah.
It really wasn't.
That's why we hate Coriolis, isn't it? Because we can do that, yeah. But to do that, you've got to go and learn it. You've got to let them speak and let them know that when they speak, they're going to have to lie and deny Coriolis. And when they try and then conflate it to a ball, you can make them say things like that planes take off backwards.
Well, for the audience, for anyone who's newer out there, it's actually very simple, right? You don't have to complicate it. If you're speaking to someone who's a baller, right, just get them to agree that the stars are only appearing to rotate because we're actually rotating, but they're stationary. It's an apparent, so they are not actually rotating within that paradigm. They're claimed to only appear to rotate. Is that we are claimed to rotate and give the appearance that the stars are rotating. So it's once you get them to agree to that, right, that means they've agreed to an apparent effect. After that, any rubbish they come up with about hurricanes or typhoons or toilet flushing or anything else has absolutely nothing to do with Coriolis. Absolutely nothing to do with it.
Right, that was the best comment so far. So Brian wins the award. Yeah, absolutely spot on. You've got what my methodology, regardless of QE's absolutely exemplary ability to take a ball to the most stupid place they could be as a consequence of their faith. Brian's actual methodology is better, which is to say, lock them into their actual claim. Right? What's their claim? Earth turns underneath. The stuff that we see moving and seeming to curve is only seeming to curve. It's not really moving. We're moving. It's not. Therefore, it just looks like it's curving. The example that they can get them to that point, locking them into that, which is claimed to be Coriolis effect. We're not suggesting that Earth turns underneath the stars to cause this effect. That's just their claim. You must lock them into so that you can debunk it. Once you've got them there, which Brian's done absolutely beautifully, perfect time to mention it too, Brian. You've got them because there's no, as Brian, I'm just repeating, I can't talk what Brian's just done. He's just done the perfect job. They can't talk about toilets flushing. Oh no, what you're saying that the swirly of the, I thought it was Earth turning underneath the stars for them to look like they're curving when they're actually not moving at all, according to your stupid ball faith. So we're now flushing toilets? How is that Earth turning underneath stars? Right, so Earth's turning underneath stars. Then, if you've got a good understanding of what Coriolis really is, as QE's gone through with actual citations that link it to Earth, Earth turns underneath all of the air and the atmosphere and the clouds. Okay? But if a plane's in those clouds, we're turning underneath it. Like we're supposed to be turning underneath the stars, right? Not suddenly the stars have got engines. That's where they'll take it, if you don't lock them into their actual claim. Oh, well, no, the plane doesn't have a Coriolis effect on it because it's got an engine. Like, what are you talking about? This is an effect that's apparent if you're turning underneath stuff. You're going to say that the ball that travels straight over the top of the roundabout's got an engine, therefore won't be affected by you turning underneath it. Yeah, it will. You're looking at something as you turn underneath, as the claim goes for a turning Earth. You need to lock them into what that actually means and understand what Coriolis is. With the star example, they're locked in immediately. Thank you, Brian.
Yeah, because it's very simple. Because what they want, for the people listening out there, what they want is for you to accept that the stars aren't moving, but only appear to move because we're rotating. But everything else that's not attached to the surface of the Earth is not going to show you that same effect. That's what they want you to accept, which is ridiculous. You know, it's not acceptable. So you just have to bring them to their very claim, and after that, you don't have to worry about it really. Thanks, Nathan.
Mine's funner.
Just one last summary on this, because it is the most complicated subject, and I will round it out at this point. As Brian's just pointed out, they want to have it both ways. They want gyroscopes, pendulums, footballs, and bullets to be affected by the Coriolis. Oh, and stars to be affected by the Coriolis effect. They don't want clouds, unless it's hurricanes, aeroplanes, hot air balloons, drones, and balls that are tossed to be affected by the same exact effect. That's the bottom line. And things actually will have some consequences of this effect. Oh, well, then, no. Earth and atmosphere moving together, no effect, one reference frame. Well, yeah, but we've still got 2 for the stars. We've still got 2 if you're a sniper. We've still got 2 if you're kicking a football for a field goal. We've still got 2 if you're looking at a pendulum deviate. That's Earth turning underneath all of those things. It just doesn't turn underneath the blimp that's filming the game. We all cool? That's it.
Exactly.
All right, we ready to continue?
I
I guess not.
Well, it's only a little thing, but it's something that I think we've incorrectly said on Flat Earth debate in the past. When we do that and trying to invoke a form of Coriolis, the only way you can look at the stars is as a baller to invoke Coriolis. If we're on a stationary Earth, it's just stars rotating above our head. There is no Coriolis. Because we're in the non-rotating reference frame at this point by our claim. So when we look at the stars, there is absolutely no Coriolis. It's just things rotating above our head.
Yeah, the stars seem to rotate above our head. End of statement.
Here we go. Join back up. I had to switch a couple
Oh,
times.
boring. Back to these Muppets. All right, fair enough.
Yeah, that's where we started. He's like Dwayne that should be tied to a whipping post.
Can we get a solid minute so we don't critique or over-critique Coriolis as we've spent 25 minutes talking about it? Let's just get to the end of this.
Yeah. It's like listening to Mr. Magoo give the keynote address at a metabolic pathway convention. He's so delusional, he actually believed the deluded, incoherent drivel that he spoke. No objections. Let's see where it goes.
Attributes that to the Coriolis effect, which is due to the Earth as a globe being, spinning on its axis, and the equator being slightly larger, things like that. All those little details taken into account, because of the way that the spin affects the atmosphere.
You clown.
It causes a divergence in
I can't do it.
Atmospheric conditions.
It causes a divergence in the atmospheric conditions, justification of efficiency. He's a moron.
Based on its direction and distance from the equator.
Go ahead. Go ahead. You interrupted. What did you say?
Well, that's okay. While he's gathering his mic, other Nathan, can you go on local mute? You're just causing a bit of feedback. I've had to put you on server mute. You hear me? Nathan. Other Nathan, can you hear me?
Oh, yeah.
Put yourself on local mute, please.
Yeah, sorry.
Worries.
Here we go.
Equator. And that causes the varying rotation that is consistent in the northern and southern hemisphere of these large weather systems. So is there any flat Earth argument to explain that phenomenon?
Yeah, you're a moron. That's my argument.
The burden of proof reversal fallacy. So not only does he balls up the description of Coriolis, this is like a coward's way of spouting shite and then just tossing it over to the other side. Here's a load of crap. How do you explain the crap that I didn't understand? Excuse me, Mr. I don't understand what Coriolis is. Did I make a claim about this? Why the hell are you asking me how I would explain it? It's your claim you didn't understand. Understand it, tie it to a globe claim, and then I'll rip it to shreds. Don't ask me how I'd explain your nonsense. is what I would have said.
Yeah, let's see what happens.
There is
Go ahead, Adam.
a point that probably me and Brian will get figured on here, because what's being invoked is that weather systems are somehow caused by a frictional rotational force underneath them. Not what you alluded to earlier, Nathan, which is entropy. Now, what's the biggest causer of entropy? Is there anything that matches the rotational foot of a presupposed rotating ball Earth that happens every day that could have a entropic effect, positive and then negative, as it goes around every day, and could be perceived in the same way if you're affecting wind systems to elucidate in the same manner? This big hot thing called the sun every day goes over our heads around the plane, yeah, in a similar manner, causing the exact oppositional rotational weather systems by imparting energy into an entropic system, the weather system. And this is what they're describing. These Muppets don't look at that. Yeah, don't look at that. The only invocation here is a rotating ball Earth. That is the cause.
Yeah,
Hurricanes
because
and
the
typhoons.
sun's like Brian's example with the stars. Right? Are the stars moving? No, we're supposed to be turning underneath it. Is the sun moving in the sun fixed centric position of a heliocentric sun at center Earth based rotational system? No, it's fixed. We're turning. Ergo, the byproduct of his belief that the rotational value of Earth causes this effect is that the sun seems to move in the sky. That's a byproduct of what he's ascribing to the causal influencer with something that's an effect.
Yes.
Or is it? How did you phrase it? You can't use the antecedent to claim the cause.
Yes, exactly.
I'm with Adam though, because it's so stupid and it's so easy to find out what actually causes hurricanes and typhoons. You can fit it. There's nothing to it. It has nothing to do with rotation. It's purely to do with the sun, temperature, and actually part of it is surface vapor pressure, right? If you look at the places, I'm not going to go into the details now because I'm not going to bore everyone with them. But if you look at places like Florida and places in Asia where typhoons happen, they're very, very similar places with very similar amounts of humidity and certain other similarities to their weather, and the reason they have humidity, blah blah blah. I'm not going to go into it now.
Please.
But it doesn't take much, Adam, does it?
I'll say, why did we describe it? If you want to look at the cause of the weather, look at this big thermal spoon that's importing entropic disruption every day, adding shitloads of energy that needs to dissipate within the atmo, yeah, every single day. Well, even if you're a baller, yeah, and it's us that's rotating, there's still a focal point of thermal energy that's adding to the disruption as it tries to then seek equilibrium. That's what weather is.
Can we move
Why
on?
are we doing this? Why? What's going on? Am I in La La Land?
Yes.
Why have you bitten on his reversal of burden? Why are you now explaining what this does?
No, it's just very annoying, as I alluded to earlier, that the cause of hurricanes isn't the weather and what contributes to weather. It's apparently a spinning Earth that's yet to be demonstrated. That's how dumb old squirrel nutmeg Google boy there is. It's not dawned on him that actually, holy shit, hurricane, I'm actually claiming that weather systems are caused by a rotating Earth. Crazy ass weather, hurricanes and typhoons are not caused by like actual input of energy, output of energy. It's because the ground underneath spinning. That's my genuine claim. That's the level of ignorance.
I absolutely agree. Now you've tied it back to the spinning Earth. Was that Brian? Sorry, I'm cutting you off.
Yeah, well, just a second. See, the thing about it is that if we were on a rotating globe, right, then it is the rotation that's giving us the sunlight and the heat and whatever, the orbit of the sun, that is causing the weather systems. But they still have nothing to do with Coriolis. Coriolis still has nothing to do with the weather systems, even within that paradigm.
Yeah, it's called the Coriolis effect, not the Coriolis cause. We already been over this.
Just before right, so just to get us back on track. The point being, it's their claim.
Yeah.
There's no necessity for us to start explaining what weather does. Right, he's flipped the burden onto Whitsitt and asked him how he would explain it on a flat Earth. And you need to recognise what's happened the moment that takes place. Now, you might have the best understanding of weather, but unless you're tying it to your claim of a flat Earth, recognise a burden of proof reversal fallacy when it happens.
Yeah.
Well, I could use it.
That's why I qualified it, and I said it'll trigger me and Brian. But it's still a frustrating point for anybody of any intellect to suggest that weather systems are controlled by a rotating ground, as opposed to the thing that anybody who's going to predict the weather is, which is where's the sun today, what's the seasons, to know what's the energy input into this dynamic system that uses entropy and its diffusion from the constant input of the sun. If you're going to forecast the weather, what are you basing it on? Well, it's a particularly spinny day today. No weatherman said that, did they? It's all based on the cycles of the sun. These guys are invoking that the causation of hurricanes and typhoons is because how spinny it is. If it was to do with the spin, they'd be there all the time, wouldn't they?
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
The temperature and pressure are directly connected to the amount of entropic input that the sun delivers. It's blatantly obvious. We might have dressed it up with some slightly more complex words, but even an idiot can recognise this. As Adam just put it, which I thought was hilarious. It's a particularly spinny day today. No.
All right. Well, let's. Hold on. We're stopping it. We're going. So he's put this. He's put this on. No, he's put this. Dwayne, tied to a whipping post, has just shifted the burden of his nonsense on the Whitsitt. Let's see what he does with it.
Yeah. So it's important to understand the variables from the other side. So we can lay this out. I'll do it pretty quickly. So, like, for example, the spin of the Earth, right, is actually the spin of the universe, right? The sky spins instead of the Earth spinning, right? So this generates real.
This is our representative, ladies and gentlemen. This is our flat Earth representative. He's launching into explanations of how Earth turns.
Yep.
Isn't that interesting?
Yep.
Yeah, he's not doing that correctly.
Well, just ask him to.
On that
all you have to do is ask him. They already know. All you have to do is ask him to explain something. And he's going to do it.
I vomited just like you did, but he just said, first of all, Earth turn isn't Earth turning; it's the turn of the universe above us. Could have used better terminology, but the first thing he did was say, "No, we're not spinning. Sky's spinning." Give me a J.
I'll give you.
We're gonna have to eat humble pie here, QE. Give us a J. If I'm wrong,
I'll have to eat
concede
humble
it straight away.
pie.
No.
The first part of the sentence, just like you, I vomited, but then he qualifies it.
I'll do it pretty quickly. So, like, for example, the spin of the Earth, right, is actually the spin of the universe, right? The sky spins instead of the Earth spinning, right? So this generates.
Fair enough. I'll take it all back. I'll take it all back.
I thought the first thing he did was reify the Earth spinning in that first part of the sentence. He does.
Yeah.
I was wrong.
Yeah, for me, he does.
Why is he explaining anything? It's the point. Hello, McFlies.
Yeah.
Right.
So why is he getting on the burden of proof reversal? That's QE's getting frustrated. It was my immediate point. Why is he bitten on this?
Well, in fairness, I would actually use that opportunity to show them.
To beg the question for them. No, Brian. No.
To show them.
Just
to
exactly
show that would be
Brian kudos for. Yeah, exactly what he just gave Brian kudos for. He's gone straight back to it. Right. What do we actually see in reality? Right. That's a great point. Yeah. What's a great reference for? Oh, the stars. What do we see? Do we see us spinning underneath? Or do we see them turning? And that's what he's done. I've no problem with criticising, but that's
okay. Keep playing.
Man, finish the sentence.
Real inertial forces. So you will have like forces generated if
real inertial forces. Let's go back. Let's get a fiver.
I ruined it now.
This is like a game of ping pong. So look at him beg the question. Oh no, actually, he's juxtaposing it with a turning sky. That's pretty good. Yeah, fair play, props. And then
Snakes and
immediately we're
ladders.
into describing forces incorrectly. So it's like ping pong, how good or bad he is.
Why don't you let it play a little longer?
This is you know, sometimes I go off topic and read straight. But
No.
This is but real inertial forces is what Plato considers when he recognizes that it's not us moving and that it's the star field. So he's saying, well, right, if there's real inertial forces, these things would just be, if they're all moving at the same rate independently, they'd be all smoking and there'd be friction, all these considerations from his point. And he comes to the conclusion that no, the only way in which you can see this thing is it's all moving as one field, so they don't suffer inertial forces either. Just a
Thanks.
pretty
That
sure.
explained everything. Here we go.
It doesn't explain
this
anything.
generates real.
Oh my
No,
God.
it doesn't explain anything other than the ancients didn't think it was a ball in space, pal. That's the point of
Okay,
raising
right.
it.
What we need to do, because we're all jumping on Witsit, we need to get a full 25 seconds solid from Witsit before we make any critique further.
Universe, right? The sky spins instead of the Earth spinning, right? So this generates real inertial forces. So you will have like forces generated if the whole like sky spinning around you, right? So to keep that in mind. Also, you have the sun. If we're tilted, you mentioned the tilt, right? So we're on a tilted axis in the globe.
Did anyone mention a tilt? Dwayne
To
didn't
keep going,
mention a
let's
tilt.
do a little bit more. Let's just get a full
Model on a
25
flat Earth
seconds.
model with the sun
Let me go back 5. Stop mumbling.
like sky spinning around you, right? So to keep that in mind. Also, you have the sun. If we're tilted, you mentioned the tilt, right? So we're on a tilted axis in the globe model. On a flat Earth model, the sun is just at an angle, right? So the sun itself is at an angle, and the Earth is horizontal. And then the globe says, well, it looks like the sun's at an angle because we're tilted. So you keep that in mind. It seems like as the sun moves in and out and in its angular relationship to the Earth, that it's like the flow, the energy flow from the sun can directly affect the Earth at the angle at which it has an ecliptic path over top of us. And when it comes to the overall rotation of the universe, I don't want to get too technical, right? But that generates like inertial forces. So you would have
What the hell are you on about?
Oh. Okay, 50% of this kind of makes sense. I could stitch it together to make some semblance of sense. But there's words in there that aren't necessary. I mean, he's dropped in the ecliptic. I'm like, where's this come from? I mean, the way he's described the sun is a bit reminiscent of Adam describing it as like a spoon stirring stuff up. I can only pick that out because Adam described it earlier. And the other 50% of the time, he's reaffirming their position with the way he's phrasing things and introducing it in terms of axial tilt. Well, number one, you'll need a flat Earth for that axis. But number two, you're tilting their axis they didn't even mention on their behalf. So it's kind of a mixed bag, isn't it?
Yeah.
No, he's just wrong. he all he had to do was put apart their claims about Coriolis, because that's all the audience needs. He doesn't have to go into all the other rubbish. He just needs to get them to agree that they're claiming the Coriolis effect when it concerns the stars and the sun and whatever. So after that, he doesn't need to explain weather systems or anything else, because they've just agreed that within their paradigm, it's only apparent. He's gone off into complication. He just complicates everything, and people think, "Wow, he's so smart. He's so smart. I can't understand him." No, you can't understand him because he's talking rubbish.
If I found myself in the position that Witsit's put himself in, which is to say he's bitten on the burden of proof, and I wouldn't necessarily be there, but if I was, I'd have to tie them back into their own claim because I'm now into the wrangle-dangle with them, which he is. So the way I would take it from here, which is very different to how I'd originally react, because Witsit's got us here, is to ask them to accept the entropic effect of high pressure to low pressure. So I'd ask them, would you concede, in terms of the weather systems that you're describing, that the effect we're really describing is just a simple case of high pressure moving to low pressure? as in entropic dispersion. And if they said, yeah, because they obviously would have to, it's a law of nature, you then go, well, that debunks your sky vacuum. If high pressure moves to low pressure and there's 10 to the minus, I'll just take it to where I wanted it to be. They want to talk about weather systems. That's high pressure gas moving into low pressure. That's wind. Okay?
Well,
once you accept that, there's no sky vacuum. Why talk about Coriolis? It's not my claim. You can see that everyone on this panel all knows the subject really well, to the point where QE especially can take a baller to a plane flying backwards. Doesn't mean that that's where it needs to go, just because they want it there. He doesn't know what he's talking about. So you're fighting with a blind bull immediately. What are you going to do with this? He doesn't know what he's talking about, so how are you going to argue the toss with him? You're not. Take it where you need it to be. Go ahead.
Anybody that would listen to him talk, he clearly, I mean, he's worried that he's going to get too technical. What he said is like talking about non-existent models having mouths saying things. I don't think that he has any like acumen to be discussing these topics because he can't even discuss them correctly.
Aha! Somebody caught on.
And
Here we
there's
go.
the
Let's see
worst
if we
bit.
get back to the storms.
Centrifugal
Actually
forces,
raised
right,
it.
with the angular momentum of the universe spinning around, and then you would have Coriolis forces. So not to be confused with the globe version of Coriolis, which is an apparent deflection because the Earth is
Oh, so he got one
Doesn't
thing,
know.
right? That's an apparent deflection. Stay there.
supposedly spinning,
he
but an
didn't.
actual
No, he did not get that right. Stop. No, he didn't. He originally positioned it to say that Coriolis was one way, not to be confused with the incorrect globe assertion that it's a not actual deflection. He's got it wrong. He doesn't understand what Coriolis. He thinks the not actual deflection described in one of your citations with a globe-centric reference, right? When you've got your Coriolis describing how Earth will turn underneath, he thinks that that's an incorrect description of Coriolis. That's how he just said it.
Oh, I
Wrong.
see what I see now. I gotcha. Okay, but you moron. What are you doing? Let's let him finish.
Coriolis force, which would be twice the magnitude, which would create an inward force. And then you have, people call them Euler forces with satellites and stuff. We won't get into that. But long story short, there are real forces generated on a stationary Earth as the sky spins around it, the stars in the sky, and the sky spins around it, creating real forces.
Oh, right. So this is just a glorified segue to bloody ether, isn't it? This is where this is being taken.
Yep.
The sun's at an angle and it has real forces as well that are going to interact with us in relation to that. That's going to give you all of the weather patterns that we have. And then the globe interprets it through the lens of, oh, well, the reason there's a tilt is because we're tilted, right? The reason that there's a spin is because we're spinning. And so they just attribute the effects to something different. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I do have.
Yeah, it does.
Because hey, dealing with a blind bull. Look, you can't do anything with this. How's he going to understand your response when we're critiquing Whitsit's response for a lack of comprehension of Coriolis effect, decrying the not actual deflection that I've told our audience that if you end up in this situation, you absolutely have to tie them to. Whitsit's decrying it. That tells me he doesn't understand what Coriolis effect is. Shock. What a shock.
Shocking.
Meanwhile, the guy's agreeing with him like he said something coherent.
Yep.
I do have one other question and thought.
Okay.
It's similar to this. So I want to get a preface of your understanding before I ask the question. So in terms of the atmosphere.
The atmosphere? That's a contradiction in terms, sunshine. Atmo means air. Air is a gas. Sphere is a shape. Gases have no inherent shape. You would fail intro to first grade gas behavior, Dwayne.
Since we're on that topic.
This is also going to be a burden of proof reversal fallacy. He's about to flip the burden.
Yep.
How does that separate in your version of the flat Earth model from
in Whitsit's version of the flat Earth model? Like to see that?
Ground to atmosphere to space of the universe. Because I just, I want to clarify that before I ask my question.
What the hell did that even mean? What the hell did that even mean?
Nothing.
How is that even a question?
Not. Incoherent dribble. Let's see what he does with it.
The question, like basically,
he said it was a good question, Nathan. Go back.
Oh my God.
Yep. Let's go back. Let's hear the whole thing.
From ground to atmosphere to space of the universe. Because I just, I want to clarify that before I ask my question.
Yeah, good question. Like basically,
I want to know
how do you-
about the ground, space to universe. That's my question. What about the ground to space to universe? Question mark. Oh.
Good question. That's what
Question.
he said. He didn't ask the question yet. That's a good question. That's the least of the problems. Okay, go ahead.
you have a gradient.
Yes.
Yeah, so obviously we would say that the antecedent to gas pressure is a physical container.
We would say. No, it is. Sunshine. Is.
Who's we?
Yes.
Oh, well, yeah. Good point.
No, let's clarify what's going on here. Some people, in spite of the information being solid, I'd still take the information as a bestowance, if that's the right word, of flat Earth belief. We bestow upon you this new flat Earth belief that gas pressure requires containment to press upon. No, this isn't what we position as flat Earthers. It's like when we say Earth is measured flat. I'm not claiming Earth is measured flat. I am making it as a statement of fact. Now, when we say there is an antecedent-consequent relationship with gas pressure and containment, it is a statement of fact, not what we say. Don't demean facts. Just tell them. You need
Of the universe.
containment for pressure.
Because I just, I want to clarify that before I ask my question.
Yeah, good question. Like basically, how do you have a gradient?
Yes.
Yeah, so obviously we would say that the antecedent to gas pressure is a physical container. The globe kind of claims, well, no, it's not true. Ours is gravity or whatever. And it would kind of be the one exception. We can't replicate it, whatever. Special pleading.
Up. Again, like I said earlier, this is your representative flat earthers. What's he into? Straight into what a globe would explain this? No, not how can I... All I'd be doing in this seat is going, how can I reposition this so I can start claiming Earth is flat? And if I am in a position where there's no alternative but to respond on the back foot reactively to a globe-based claim, debunk it as quickly as possible. That's all you're trying to do. He wants to introduce various aspects of heliocentrism into this discussion on their behalf. Flexing his heliocentric knowledge. It's all it is.
Which he doesn't have.
That's the point, you see. Instead of dealing with the point at hand, which is how do you have delta x, right? And the point at hand should be to demonstrate, well, to have delta x, you have to have x. Okay? And drill that home is flexing and hidden agendas. All that needs dealing with here is that fundamental principle. What is the antecedent for gas pressure? No matter whether it varies or not through a huge system, which we've already discussed with hurricanes, etc. What is the antecedent to have gas pressure? Just focus on that, because that's your winning point.
Oh, sorry.
I'm done.
For the audience's benefit, Adam's reference to delta x is to say that there is an order to things. First, to have gas pressure, you need containment. So you have containment, then you can achieve gas pressure. Now, a delta of the gas pressure that requires containment is a gas pressure gradient. First, you have gas pressure under containment, then and only then can you achieve a gas pressure gradient. So it's a delta of the antecedent-consequent relationship that is primary in this argument. Without the container, there can be no pressure. Without the container, there can be no pressure gradient. And if you latch onto the delta x argument, it supersedes for the opponent the underlying antecedent-consequent relationship that is and must be stated to debunk the sky vacuum.
Is what I would say. But long story short, so I would say gradient is change in pressure, right? And so that's delta x. And so you need x to have the delta x. So you need the gas pressure to have a change in the first place. So I would say that's our argument. Most people kind of divert to gradient. Not saying you're doing that. Obviously, you're just asking a question. So anyway,
it's not our argument. No, that's not our argument. That's the explanation for the argument. The argument is the sky is not a vacuum because we need containment for the gas pressure we're breathing. That's the argument. When somebody puts delta X to you, you first reiterate the primary argument. You can't have gas pressure without a container, and you can't have your gas pressure gradient, that's a delta of gas pressure, without a container either. You think that pointing out that there's a delta of gas pressure is our argument? He doesn't even understand this.
I get excited when I hear. This is what's frustrating, isn't it? Now, I just critiqued him to stay here. He said it, and we've stopped him after 10 seconds. So I don't know what's coming next. Stay here. This is all that matters.
Exactly.
Hold them to this.
Yep. That's exactly what I was thinking, and it balls up my Delta X argument that he must have heard more than 100 times over 3 years in Discord of me dragging ballers around by their short hairs with it. Good job. But you stop right here. Like huh?
Yeah, what do you mean by that? What do you mean by stop right here? What have I missed? I don't understand what you mean.
Stop right here. Go ahead,
Stay here. Reaffirm the point he's just made, yeah, which is to have delta X, you've got to have X, right? Then apply it to his ball Earth, yeah?
Yeah.
And, hold him there and stay there. Just stay. Don't, which is what's probably going to happen, is an attempt to explain delta X. They'll do a burden and reversal on you, yeah? It's not for you to explain delta X. I have no idea why God made it like that. But there's certain principles in natural law that I know to have X, I must have containment. While there's all that variation, well, that's for later consideration. But we do know fundamentally we've got containment.
We might do that in the next 2 minutes. Play on. Let's see if he does actually debunk the ball.
You think he's going to do that? Okay. I can't remember. Let's see. I'll bet the house that he doesn't.
I don't know, but it doesn't matter, does it? The point is, for everybody, that's where you stay.
Yep.
You don't. The ball has now got the extraordinary burden of proof claim, yeah? That somehow, because it's a spinning ball in the vacuum of space, you can have gas pressure without containment. That's fundamentally now where you've got them to. If you can get them to admit that gas pressure requires containment. He's still to get that, I think, as a concession. But
here we go.
I would say that we have, for one, it's relative density layers, right? Obviously on its base. So like they sort out based on density. And so then the question would be like, well, what is density?
He's already failed.
Yep.
He's latched onto it. He's trying to explain the delta X. He's explaining gradients to him. It's so annoying.
No, he's talking out his fucking arse. This is wholly incorrect by physics. What he's now. Give me a J. Let's just give him opportunity. But what the living cackamooni's just been said.
Cackamooni's? What the heck is that?
And I apologize for the other swear word. That was shocking.
Yeah, that was shocking. I was shocked by that, by the way. All right, here we go. I gave you a J.
I would say that we have, for one, it's relative density layers, right? Obviously on its base. So like they sort out based on density. And so then the question would be like, well, what is density? What gives something density? What gives something?
That's enough, isn't it?
Yep.
It's total nonsense. All of the gas that we experience, right, the mixture of it isn't separated by what weights of gases. No, they're all diffusing into each other because they're unbonded. So if you go up to the highest altitudes, which is essentially what they're appealing to, they're saying the air gets thinner. Yeah, the air. Well, air is air, high up and low down. It's a mixture of lots of different gases, but it doesn't suddenly separate like bloody liquids when you have all sorts of different oils and waters and milks and stuff mixed up. Gases don't do that. They're unbonded. Yeah, they've just got gaps between them. So it doesn't matter what you are if you're a gas. You can go anywhere you like between the gaps in the other gases. And the mixture of gases, yeah, the inhomogeneous anisotropic mixture of gases that we experience here on Earth is called air. It's not called, oh, at this altitude it's a lot of helium and at this altitude it's a lot of hydrogen. No, it's just air.
Something weight. And these are good questions. I can answer them all. Density is.
These are good questions. I can answer them all. What a numpty You're such a pretender, clown. Listen to this.
Right, obviously on its base. So like they sort out based on density. And so then the question would be like, well, what is density? What gives something density? What gives something weight?
Don't ask him the questions that he's going to ask you. No. He's setting his own self up. And you can't explain him anyway.
It's got different gases sorting into layers. They're homogeneous now, according to him.
Superfluid, super mustache.
Uncool band scent.
Booger.
Yep, that's what he said. The super booger.
Is that it?
Yep.
Just super booger?
Well, can you deny
in
that?
his defense, yeah, I was about to say, in his defense, he is pretty super.
I'm on board with that.
All right. Thank you.
There's a point here. Again, like many times, the crap that the anti-flat earthers threw in our face is actually useful. So the sulfur hexafluoride nonsense. You know, when they pump a load of this particular one gas into a container of a fish tank and then float a bit of aluminium foil on top. We all know that at the end of the day, it's still not floating. It's all gone out. But guys, the next day have to fill the tank up with fresh sulfur hexafluoride because all those molecules are dissipated evenly in the lecture theatre. What they don't do is get the janitor to hoover up all the really heavy sulfur hexafluoride monitors and reuse those the next day because they're just all heavy and on the floor, which is what Witsit's claiming here. Shame on you, sir. Shame on you.
Wait, these are good questions. I could answer them all.
I'm not finished with the indictment. Yeah, you make us look like freaking idiots. Yeah, numpties who haven't been to school when you say stupid things like that. That's why I don't want you speaking for us. Done now. Ramble over.
Right, obviously on its base. So like they sort out based on density. And so then the question would be like, well, what is density? What gives something density? What gives something weight?
Vomit. No, vomit, you freaking idiot. They do. Is that what gas molecules do they? These freely moving molecules sort themselves out now, independently or through free thought. Is that how they sort themselves? What the hell? All the heavy boys over here. Hydrogen.
Yeah.
Get over that way.
The thing that's the most egregious, Adam, is it flies in the face of some of the historic rhetoric that we have used to overcome such arguments. Like, for example, the rebellious gas particles, right? The ones that sit in defiance of natural law. They're not just following the vector until they collide with the walls of a container or another gas particle. They're deciding to get to the Kármán line and go down, go boom, boom. Or in this case, order themselves in regimented lines. You're like, what are you babbling about? You simply don't understand what air is.
This is the indictment, and Brian will side with me, that pisses me off. This is why he shouldn't be representing us, yeah? Because he's only read off the book. And he's got halfway, and he's got all triggered and happy because he's got some thought in his mind that he can move forward with a new conceptualization of the universe. And he's only read off the book.
No, he hasn't.
Gas molecules aggregate themselves based on molecular weight, according to this Muppet.
No, he hasn't read half the book. He's read the headline. And then he's going to tell you later that I can get into the detail.
He didn't read the book. He didn't read the headline. He snuck into a bus shelter without a ticket and overheard 4 tramps reading some scraps from the book.
Yep, but he'll go on to tell you. But he'll go on to tell you that he won't get into the details of this. I got all the answers. That's what he does.
But you see, for people like me, the second this Muppet speaks like this, I can now dismiss him. Do you understand?
Yes.
I might be like a PhD physicist. I come in, and this is what I'm given. A guy that instantly demonstrates to me that he's not even understanding of GCSE for physics. Yeah. He doesn't understand gas behavior. He doesn't understand states of matter. He's just an idiot. It keeps talking about this conceptual medium called ether. Well, I can move on now, and this is what upsets me, that's the impression that Candace Owens would get about flat Earth.
Yep.
It's why you shouldn't speak for us. It's it.
Yep. Just imagine this numpty dipshit pretender clown moron, the shapeshifter ether clown here, sitting down with somebody with a actual physics degree. His dumb ass would get laughed at in less than 15 seconds. That's what's coming. I can't wait to see it. I can't wait.
But that is just what's happened. I've got a degree in chemistry, physics, and I've just laughed at him at that level. Do you understand? Anybody with A-level physics, just one above basic kindergarten, is now laughing at him because the statement he's just made defies gas behavior.
Yep.
He just made a completely false claim in known, provable things. A natural law and in science,
unsolicited.
Why? Yeah, that's why I said why. It's why.
Just for a bit of Witsit translation. When he says, "I'm not going to get into the details of this right now,"
Yep.
What that actually means is this isn't a strong enough segue for me to now waffle on indefinitely about ether and sound like I'm an intellectual. So I'm not going to focus on the details of that right now. I'll wait till there's a better segue. That's what it actually means.
Weight. These are good questions. I could answer them all. Density is compactness of matter, so there's an electrostatic bond that holds them together. Weight is mass times gravity.
Electrostatic.
Now, got it. See, I was just trying to think, and right. Why is he saying this? Why would he say that bigger molecules go down? The only reason you could do that is because you'd want to invoke a downward bias, a kind of downward force. Yeah, that's why you would make a claim of aggregation based on molecular weight in a non-dynamic atmosphere, which is what he's claiming. Yeah, because there's a overreaching force, a bias, you might say.
Well, he's got a
Somebody
fundamental.
true out what Adam just said.
You
That
have a
was
point
beautiful.
here. You wouldn't. Why? The only reason to make that statement is because, as I said earlier, because you've got an alternative agenda, and that's what. Now, we'll let him speak, and he'll reveal the alternative agenda, I imagine. But I was trying to think, why would you do that? Why would you say that gases aggregate? The only reason is because you want to invoke a downward force based on mass. Yeah, shithousery, dirty. Carry on.
I don't even know why he's calling it molecular. He doesn't believe in molecules. But we'll continue.
Manifestation. I've got a manifestation weight.
Gravity, so that's volume and density times
I'll pull a 5. Let's do a J. We'll do a full J. I'll let him go.
weight. These are good questions. I could answer them all. Density is compactness of matter, so there's an electrostatic bond that holds them together. Weight is mass times gravity, so that's volume and density times the fact that things fall down at an average.
What bollocks. bollocks. That really. Weight.
Things fall down at a what average? What did he say?
I can't. I don't know exactly what. Here you go.
Density is compactness of matter, so there's an electrostatic bond that holds them together. Weight is mass times gravity, so that's volume and density times the fact that things fall down at an average. All electric.
At an average,
Things
all
fall
electric.
Things fall down at an average. Looks up at clouds, releases helium balloon.
Yeah, it's all electric though.
This guy's hold on. This is something that hasn't happened before. So he's no better than Dell.
That's what I just told you. Things fall down at an average because what? Because we're not invoking gravity here. We're invoking a dielectric current flow.
Yep. He said it's all electricity. We'll hear it again. Listen up.
Matter, so there's an electrostatic bond that holds them together. Weight is mass times gravity, so that's volume and density times the fact that things fall down at an average. All electric.
All electric. He also uses creepy meat hooks, the little fingers. When he got the mass, he used his creepy hooks again, like the quote mass. Idiot.
Well, that's the one that pissed me off. Weight is mass times gravity. Sorry. In whose world was it?
Yep.
Yeah, and that's a really important. He's giving, when we talk about giving them things, Wow. Wait, what I weigh is my mass times gravity, is it?
Yep.
No, it isn't, you muppet. Right? Yeah? There's only weight. And then from that, you can make shit up mathematically. There's only weight, which is density and buoyancy. Yeah? And a convention at best.
Yep.
You want to take it and reify it, yeah? By calculation, that weight, that convention, you're going to then use calculation to reify a force and in some way invent mass to mean something.
Yep.
You probably
It's
wouldn't be
just
able
like
to
I
do.
said. It's just like I said. They don't care about flat Earth. They only care about their EFER agenda, and that's the only thing that they're trying to do is push that. That's the only point of any conversation they have.
So
I don't want to get too in the weeds.
well,
Quickly
I would like to. There was one thing you said that
He doesn't want to get too in the weeds with that, though. Yeah, I'll translate that for you, because I don't know my ass from a pipe wrench. That's what that is. He keeps on saying it.
No. This
Yeah,
is
yeah.
not a strong enough segue to keep going indefinitely about ether. I said it already.
All right. I have another twist to it.
that stuck out to me, which was the density issue. So if density is ultimately what causes things to fall, then theoretically things that are different densities should always fall at different rates, right?
No. So
Right.
to clarify, I'm not even
We're back in 2015, man.
Right, but why the hell are we here? We've still not ascertained whether or not you need containment for gas pressure.
Yep.
saying that things only fall because of density. It's just that you have to define each term. I would say that there has to be something that sets the up and down. And I would say
There
that
you
that's a
go, baby. There's the good shit. Yeah. What's that set? What? Any hands up? Anybody that could think of a reason? Pause, you might say. What sets up and down?
Speak up, Adam. You're starting to mumble.
I'm suggesting that he said it's not a strong enough segue, but now he's hinting that the setting of up and down later, when there is a strong segue, will be ascribed to incoherent dielectric accelerative forces in the downward direction.
Crazy
electric in nature. We have a downward electric current on the Earth.
There you go.
It's 10 microamps per cubic.
Sorry, go ahead.
Did he just say Elon Hubbard?
I didn't hear him.
meter, so it's very small, but it's measurable. You can actually run a generator off of it. It's pretty fascinating, just off the sky. Long story
Oh, well.
Come again. We can run a generator off the sky, can we, Ether boy? Ooh, that sounds tempting. That sounds like it could lower my outgoings considerably. Ooh, I'll rub my hands together. Tell me more. Sounds like free energy.
Isn't it?
What? Adam, you have something to say or what?
Yeah, free energy. It could power your Tesla, couldn't it?
Thank you. Is that
Isn't
it?
that? No, I'm just highlighting what's now being grifted in a sarcastic manner. What's just been introduced? Yeah? The sky grift right now.
Yep.
Power of the sky to give you freedom. I'm going to come to this because what time is it now? It's 10:30, right? So now it's fine. I've spent last night and a big chunk of this afternoon listening to Twitter. So I've been invited a number of times to these forums, and there was 100 odd people at one point on this X, I should say, I suppose.
Get closer to your mic.
Hey,
Yeah, stop. No one
can you
can
not
hear
hear me?
you,
It's
Adam.
my mic. Can you not hear me?
Stay close to your mic.
We can now. You've got 6 inches closer to your mic.
Yeah, I was looking the wrong way. I just realised. So, like yesterday and today, I've spent time on Twitter on the just listening. Last night was really interesting because that's why I posted the David Weiss thing, because I wasn't aware of it myself with Roseanne. I sat there listening, people saying, "Good on Dave Weiss, he's putting it out there and talking about the ether and criticising McToon that he's going to... That was the phrase, that McToon will try to attack the ether. And then today was really interesting because I went back into the forum and there was Witsit doing stuff. And then I dipped off because Forest were playing. And I've come back in later and there was a number of people saying what a great, amazing guy he is, how they should start supporting him financially, and really just... But the thing that was notable in all of the conversations, that ether was prevalent in this. It was part of their paradigm. And this is why I say we've lost. Yeah? If you go out there, ether is so prevalent. Yeah, it's actually part of the replacement system they've built. Yeah, and it's been accepted by a hell of a lot of people. I was shocked last night and today. And then there's a phrase. What did this lady say? She said, the thing, they've got all their Einstein and stuff. We've just got to start really appreciating people like Witsit and Dave Weiss and the proof they're bringing to us. It was profound, moving in a colonic sense, mainly.
In a colonic sense, nice touch. Are you done?
No, listen to what I just warned you about. This shit isn't just for us to laugh. This is what's now believed. I said on X, it's out there, and this is being pimped, mate. And there's just the mods are into it. Yeah, the mods were etherites.
For short, it's nearly constant, right? And that sounds familiar, right? Because the rate at which things fall is nearly constant. It isn't exactly 9.8 constantly, right? It fluctuates slightly based on where you are and if there's, electrical field conditions, blah, blah, blah. So
blah, blah,
there you go.
Blah, blah, blah.
Hey, right. No. Doesn't... Right, the rate of fall isn't based on Felix Baumgartner because there's more or less there, all these sort of things. What? Give me a J. What's the rate of fall based on?
the rate at which things fall is nearly constant. It isn't exactly 9.8 constantly, right? It fluctuates slightly based on where you are and if there's, electrical field conditions, blah, blah, blah. So I would.
All right.
Electrical field conditions, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, relative. The point of implication here is that relative density equilibrium, which we would all agree on, is mediated by these field dynamics that he's taught. This electric field dynamics that he's invoking from nowhere.
I'll ask a question.
I would say there's an electric bias.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yes, you can, Jim. Go ahead.
Yeah, totally enjoying it. Nice one, young man. Totally enjoying this. I'm always asking Wisfit, who gets it, apparently, why is it that he speaks in the affirmative about things he's theorizing? Because he does that all the time. It's annoying. He's saying things as if it's a given when he can't prove it. And I've asked him many times, never getting an answer. That's my question. Am I right to ask him that?
Yeah,
you are. Because he's a grifter is the answer.
Yeah.
Superfluid, super monkey.
Tony Whitcomb, he sent, ballers don't like the word buoyancy as it destroys their narrative in the medium that any object that it is in, that is in it.
Thanks, Tony.
Electrical field conditions, blah, blah, blah. So I would say there's an electric bias. We have tons of electromagnetic energy coming from the sky.
Tons of electromagnetic energy coming from the sky. You talking about light?
Interesting phraseology, though. Isn't it? Hold on. Did you hear what the turn of phrase is always interesting. I love Deception Detective. Take things at face value. What did he actually say? Just listen again to the actual words he used.
I would say there's an electric bias. We have tons of electromagnetic energy coming from the sky, measurably.
Up. Tons.
Yep.
Of electrical energy. Tons.
Electric bias. Okay, so the supposed voltage potential between the surface and the sky that increases, that's the electric bias. That's your ether in effect in the real world, guys. This is what's being described. So the reason that relative density disequilibrium has a causation for orientation is this electrical field flow. This is what's being planted in your mind right now. Don't know me. I'm telling you, this is how we work on the streets. Yeah.
But he can't state that because, because
point to
hold on,
exception.
because previously he said that ether was light. Now he said it's the electric field. Which one is it? That's why I said no.
No. John. You're an honest man. I'm not here to have an honest discussion with you. I'm here to mug you off and get you to admit points of acceptance. He's moved past what he's invoked here is the downward bias. Okay? They've now got a point of agreement, possibly, yeah, because things are pulled down. Because what Witzit's just agreed with them.
It sets a downward bias, there's a downward electric current, and then everything kind of sorts itself out with density relative to those mediums, meaning...
Said it again.
He can't back up these claims. He's making claims that he can't back up. There's no proof of any of this that he's saying. And this is the basis of why he brings up ether, because he wants people to accept this, and he has nothing to back it up.
Yeah, that's why he's in the position he is. What is the best way to oppose something that is of the exact same standard? Their standard is the same as his standard. Just so stories and made-up explanations, baseless assertions. That's what they have on the globe. So this is the best thing to balance that out in false dichotomy. You've got to have somebody that seems like they know what they're talking about from the flat earth side, that can spout a few long words. You can't have it leaving them in a position where they just lose. You need it in a position where they've got a load of garbage that can be undone by, as QE puts it, anybody who's got half an intellectual brain on their shoulders. They can just undo this garbage in an instant and just roll their eyes. Well, what are they left with as the alternative in this discussion? Well, the false dichotomy of the globe nonsense. Now, the person on the viewing side of this discussion, the person watching, might say, well, I've got a better understanding that the idiot that's spouting globe nonsense about weather patterns, but that doesn't mean that Witzit has any value. I can just get on with my day knowing I'm on a globe. In other words, a neutral outcome.
Yep.
It's going to choose if it goes up or down.
Super mustache, super monkey, super fluid.
I think that this is I don't know. Lieu Alcott that Arwen is the battery of glory. What is it? I don't know. I think they're trolling.
Thanks for the super chat, though. Let's continue.
Yeah.
Or down relative to its
Before you
medium.
move on,
After
Yep.
there is just one point of iteration here. Both two monkeys in the left and Witzit have now agreed fundamentally through different causational mechanisms that they're both in agreement that gas go down, go boom boom.
Yes, implicitly.
Yes.
a downward electric current, and then everything kind of sorts itself out with density relative to those mediums, meaning it's going to choose if it goes up or down relative to its medium after the electric current has set the up or down. And once it goes down, it's just going to go at general rates, right? It can only go so fast, basically.
Huh? What?
He doesn't understand gas behavior. Hasn't just covered it.
It doesn't even understand what he's invoking here. He doesn't know whether he's invoking a downward force or a direction of orientation. It's wholly unclear. However, most fundamentally, whatever he's doing is in denial of gas behavior. Both of them. Whether you want gas go down, go boom, boom through G, or gas go down, go boom, boom through dielectric nonsense. They're both are in denial of gas behavior.
And while we might be capable of highlighting this, if he was listening, if Witzit was in front of us on the panel now, he wouldn't care. That's not his motivation here. It's not concerning himself with which law of nature he might be in defiance of. He's just looking for an inroad to introduce this electrical force into the discussion. Doesn't matter what he's violating. As long as he weasels it in at some point, he's happy. Because that's his modus operandi. That's his raison d'etre. That is what he is there for. It's not, how quickly can I debunk the globe? As we've often criticised some of our counterparts in this regard, like Weiss and Whitsitt in this regard. We've criticised them for just debunking the globe, pointing out how the globe fails and not focusing on the flat Earth. In this instance, he's not even doing that. Doesn't need to.
Yeah. That's walking man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Super chat.
I'm sorry. I was on mute. Go ahead.
It's okay. It's another troll, I think. But Arwen Battery of Glory powers the fly attractor. Okay.
Thanks for the super chat.
Once it goes down, it goes down. If it goes up, it goes up. So yeah,
What-
that would be the answer. You're asking, obviously.
It goes up, must come up. It goes up, it goes up. It goes down, it goes down. You know, whatever.
A very deep question, which is basically
Deep question. That's what we want to hear.
What
a
if they're
replacement for gravity.
well? No, well, I'm trying.
Replacement for gravity. What wasn't your raison d'etre in the beginning that falsification is independent of replacement? Remember?
Just spent the last whatever minute or so providing a replacement for gravity. That's what I've been saying. Yeah, both of them, gas go down, go boom boom. There is a direction of orientation described and ascribed to a force. Be that gravity or electric current. It's still invoking a downward force.
And like the dirty ballers that we deal with, he's disclaimed the dirty consequence before making his claim. So while we were outraged at the point where he has to describe a separation of the various gases and homogeneous layers so that he can have directionality, these particular gases will be going up, these particular gases will be going down. Why? Well, because we've got a directionality as ascribed in replacement of gravity. Oh, really? Why did he come up with that crap to outrageous earlier? Because here's where that consequence would come. As a consequence of his directionality, we'd have separation of these different weights of gases in the air. It's all mixed up at the same exact quantities at all elevations. No, we would not. But he's disclaimed that early on, hasn't he? Very slippery as well.
Trying to get to
I have some
something.
thoughts.
What if there's no medium? What if it's a vacuum?
So okay, good question. So
Like the one between your ears. What if what's a vacuum? What are you talking about?
He's got an open goal. He's got an open goal. There's no goalkeeper. Smash it in. Debunk space. Let's see if he gets it.
Medium. What if it's a vacuum?
So okay, good question. So for
Good question. What's the damn question? What if what's a vacuum?
one, obviously, if you pull the air out of a vacuum chamber, you just made it.
Where'd you get the vacuum chamber? Are there vacuum chambers in nature?
All right, let's just point out what's happening.
Go ahead.
It was an open goal. Yeah? What Whitsitt's decided to do, pass it to the wingman, so he and another midfielder can show off their passing skills for a little while. Hello, open goal, talking about sky vacuums. You've just been talking about Delta X.
Yep.
Isn't this the point? To at least get us to moan about the fact you're babbling about space and sky vacuums and globes still, rather than pointing out how Earth is measured flat. No, we're not even there. No, because no, there's a vacuum being talked about. Ooh, this is a better segue to ether. No need to debunk the sky vacuum that everybody watching's believing in. This is a useful segue to ether, isn't it? Why, we're on to vacuum chambers. You watch.
Is that not that sky vacuum we should have debunked at the start when we started with the premise that you can't have gas pressure without containment?
Yeah.
No, wrong. Up. No. There was an earlier opportunity when they were talking about gas pressure differentials with weather systems. No, pre-Delta X. This could have been dealt with when they asked about Coriolis. I said I would have segued this as quickly as possible onto entropic laws. That would be high pressure to low pressure, diffusion, entropy, and then debunk the sky vacuum on the spot. It'd take 20 seconds.
It less dense, right?
Removed all matter.
well, obviously there's no such thing as an actual perfect vacuum, but even if you were able to remove all matter, my point is, say you drop a brick, it's more dense than the air, right? If you put that
Oh my
brick in a
god!
vacuum,
Oh my god! There's no such thing as a perfect vacuum. Okay, so what? In the next breath, you're not gonna debunk outer space in the sky vacuum? Really?
I think it could be much more beneficial to flat Earth if we explain why a brick is heavier than air.
Ooh, he doesn't want to go down that route. Let's hear. You know what? Like I said, I can't remember what he states. Let's hear what he has to say about this.
all matter. My point is, say you drop a brick, it's more dense than the air, right? If you put that brick in a vacuum, it's still more dense than the vacuum. You actually just made the medium less dense, right? So it's still more dense, is what I'm saying.
Well,
But in
yes,
addition
but
to
what
that-
I'm asking.
What's still more dense?
Hold up. That was profound. Wasn't it? I'm learned something tonight. I have. I now know that mild gas pressure is more dense than a vacuum. Thanks, Witsit.
Asking is
What
if you have
vacuum are we talking about?
That's what I asked him in the beginning.
a brick.
Where's the vacuum?
We've been dealing with this. Hold on, Adam. Sorry, we've been dealing with this since 2016. My appearance on Globebusters was one of the occasions that this was attempted to be dealt with. Right, there is a misapprehension amongst the entire Globebusters team that if you release a single molecule of gas into a vacuum, it will sink to the bottom. I actually believe that. I had Bob tell me personally. That is what they believe. They fundamentally have to deny how gas behaves in order to punt this ether belief, and they've been doing it for years.
I'd like to give a little historical content to that quote. I completely concur, because it was something that was pimped to Sleeping Warrior, and he came to me saying, "Ad, is this true?" Which obviously you can imagine how wet my knickers were at the end of it. Yeah, but this is something that was put out by these guys, put to other people as supposition for argumentation. Yeah, and then, like I said, Sleeping Warrior, being diligent as he is, went and got it checked out. But they presuppose that if you let one molecule, eventually it just sit at the bottom of the container. I mean, it'd obviously be at absolute zero at this point, because they know all about physics, these guys.
Mm-hmm.
And a feather in a vacuum.
Oh my goodness, we're going to a brick and a feather in the vacuum. Brian Cox. When was that? 2016? Oh boy.
That actual example is from 2012. So
Is it?
people happen to start playing it. Yeah, people just happen to be playing it in 2016.
I got you.
Yeah.
Should they not fall at the same rate? If density is all it is, or should they fall at different rates? If different is what I meant to say. If you have a brick and a feather in a vacuum and you drop them, they should fall at different rates, right? If density is the issue. And again, we're saying a near perfect vacuum.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's all that exists, right? But no, I would say I don't think so. No.
Pause.
Yeah, I did.
This is a good point. And the question I'd ask Abora is why?
Yep.
If there's nothing to impede it, everything should fall at the same rate, shouldn't it? If there's nothing to impede it, there isn't a pulling force downwards based on my mass, then my mass is irrelevant. Therefore, there's nothing impede. What's the difference? Yeah.
You'd think.
No, I agree with Adam. Just get that out of the way in terms of your sentiment. But when you're having these sorts of discussions, if you're an audience member and you end up participating in something like this, you've got to keep focused on what the purpose of the discussion is. A, what are you claiming? What does this prove? Not what you suggest I should pull out my ass to prove when you state some garbage. What are you suggesting this proves? So if, in this instance, okay, there's a vacuum chamber, okay, and there's a brick and a feather in it, okay. You drop them, okay. And they do X. Doesn't matter what the outcome is. One does loop-de-loops, the other hits the ground. Okay, oh wow, well, the feather did loop-de-loops. Oh, fascinating. What the hell does this prove?
It proves that they're trying to invoke a downward force. That's my point. Yeah, they're trying to do this. A downward force.
No,
And
because
that's all
once
you
it
need to recognize, that that's the point of invocation, something that you do not have to deal with. What downward force? Why have I got to make an apologetics about a Brian Cox video where the only reason I need to make it is because there's a downward force invoked that I need to explain that's not been demonstrated?
Yep.
it goes down, it goes down. And so it starts to increase its speed as it can, its acceleration down. Obviously, they only would drop at the same rate in a vacuum, right? Because you have air resistance.
He used those the little meat hooks again. Friggin' creepy. What does that mean? Pull a fiber. I'll try not to look at it.
Down. Obviously, they only would drop at the same rate in a vacuum, right? Because you have air resistance. If you don't have that air resistance, the feather's more dense in the air, the brick's more dense in the air. So that's just.
What are you doing?
That was non sequitur.
Does he think he's quoting something?
I don't know what he's just talking out his ass. Dumb shit.
But he's doing what I assume because I was like thinking earlier, yeah, he's doing like bear claws or something. He's just being expressive. But no, I think he's doing air quotes.
Yeah, but it's creepy. But it's all over the place. You don't know what he's going to do it with.
What's he quoting?
I don't know.
Why is he quoting something? Why is he saying?
No idea.
It's like me talking to you and saying, "I'll do it verbally." "Quote unquote gravity." Why is it "quote unquote gravity"?
Because you know gravity is a load of shit. So if you were going to say it and allow them to beg the question, which is what he's done there, this is where Whitsitt uses it a lot, which is why I was going to criticise him earlier. He didn't throw air quotes out a number of times where he would, which is to allow them to beg to the question of a point that actually he wouldn't agree with, which is that it's a vacuum in the NASA chamber, I think, there.
Jeez.
Just going to decide that it goes down and or up, right? And then it's going to fall in relation to that medium. And also, in a vacuum, you still have electric fields.
Hey, baby, yeah.
Hey, called it.
You called it. You're taking all the credit.
Fall down, and with regards to the rotation of the etheric electrical field that is still in pre-existence, even if you've sucked all the molecules out. There's still the medium of creation, isn't there? That thing that light will be able to manifest in.
All right, listen, we got 3 minutes that we're going to end it. We'll end the presentation. I hardly got 5 minutes into this presentation. There's going to be a part 4 and a part 5 and a part 6 and a part 7 and a part 8 and a part 9. Oh, yeah, we're staying in here. There's a lot of meat on the bone left on this monkey. Yeah.
Okay. Well, do we want to get a few minutes of there's people in here that might want to pass their opinions.
Okay.
Are you keen to round out in the next 3 minutes?
No, I don't have to round out. We can stay afloat here for a little bit if that's what you like.
Yeah, guys in the in the Discord server. If you've got any opinions, comments, remarks, just want to tell Brian that he shouldn't moan so much, whatever, feel free. This is your moment.
Well, I blame Nathan and Adam for 5 minutes of content lasted hours.
Hours,
yep. Brian,
there was a lot to unpack. I do agree. I agree with Lieu. Right, we've only got 5 minutes through, but unfortunately, this is where the justification for criticism is absolutely warranted. There's a lot to unpack.
Agreed.
Yeah, and go ahead, lady. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just agreeing with Nathan.
Yeah, Jen.
Yeah, so was I. Yeah, it's absolutely fundamental that that you do this kind of critiquing, because we're all learning how not to make the same mistake. I don't want to look that stupid when you're trying to explain something that you don't know about. because that's what he's doing. It's all theory, and he's not prefacing it with the right language. I can't prove what I'm about. So, please accept it as just a theory. It's just another idea.
No,
It's not
he's not
fact.
saying that. He did not state
No.
theory. Nope,
Yeah.
he did not do that.
Yeah.
It's not that. Right.
Yeah.
If we were sat here critiquing a guy that just thought the earth was flat, like Bryce, who's, famous, and that's all we were doing. That's not what's happening here. All we're highlighting is, as I've just said, what flat earther invokes a downward bias. Name me a flat earther that needs a downward bias. What you're seeing, there's two levels of critique. There's the two monkeys in the top corner that are just globetrotters that you can educate and see where their nonsense is substantiated in. And then what we've got going in the bottom right is just the guy that's got his agenda. And the reason it's took 5 minutes is every time he opens his mouth, we as flat earthers smell that he's not talking as a flat earther. He's talking as some etherite trying to invoke a rotating etheric field or a downward bias of some description in everything that he's putting back to two guys that think naively on their part that they're talking to a guy that's here to represent flat earth. They're not. They're a guy from the Church of Ether, from the Church of True Earth. And that's apparent, and that's probably why it's worth sticking to. Because
Sure, I think although QE jumped all over the word theory, I think what the sentiment that Jim was trying to put across was Witzit's suggesting you accept his ideas without any substantiated evidence. He's not saying they're theories, they're his Mystic Meg, Nostradamus theories in that context. It's not a good word to use here, Jin, but I got your sentiment.
But even if they were that, which is, I think, a sentiment of like Candace Owens, they've got is ideas, frankly, with regards to flat Earth. You could guide them. That's not what's being presented here. These ideas, however you want to categorize them, they're nothing to do with flat Earth. They're to do with a true Earth etheric world cosmogony. But
Well, they like
with why we've all got here, which is the teaching how science has been misrepresented and how the Earth is measured flat. It's nothing. That's not what's being presented here.
Well, I think the pretense is always like accept a bunch of falsities as your foundation so that I can give you a load of crap to expound off of that. Just enough to say that there is no truth in these true earthers, ironically.
I can't believe it.
He's just.
Go on, Neil. Then Jin.
I can't believe all of this time, and I did not come Don Coriolis.
Indeed. Go ahead, Jin.
Before Jin goes, just on chat. So I've just released a message on the chat. I don't know why. It's one of the funniest things. Witsit from Greg T. Witsit has a Down syndrome. That's brilliant, dude. Thank you.
That's correct.
Yeah, whatever. Anybody else from the Discord server that joined from the public that wants to comment?
Okay.
Sorry, go ahead, Adam.
Is it Walter Letwell?
No, it's not Roger Ledwell. Say it.
Go for me.
Walking Man, he was asking if it was Roger Ledwell, and it wasn't. It's Walking Man. He sent another troll. Wear rabbits on your head, Arwen. Look like hairs. But thanks for the super chat, I guess.
Attacking Arwen. I'm sure QE's not above banning people who super chat. Keep it up.
Right.
Just get banned.
It's truly
No,
amazing.
It's not that. There's a guy, that it's being referred to that thinks he should use this place because he's banned so many people from his chat. They're all using this as an opportunity to engage with him, to try and get unbanned and stuff. It's probably stuff that's not worth us referring to. I've tried to ignore it, even though it's very frustrating in the chat to see it, that somebody's using this chat as their admin account because they've mistreated so many people in the past.
I didn't really follow that, but fine. What I did follow was you tried to avoid it. Fine, I'll take the hint.
Got me.
I usually let the mods take care of the chat. I don't usually associate with it. Usually.
I think I misinterpreted what somebody was super chatting with. It's fine. Let's move on.
All right. Yeah, you guys tuckered out yet?
Me, never.
Still not opened it up to the Discord group. So,
Yeah, I've.
well, we've not given much opportunity. I didn't say we didn't say it once. I'm just saying, what if he gets a bit of pineapple?
I didn't get a bit of pineapple. I had plenty of time during this discussion of your concise remarks to eat half a friggin' cantaloupe without being caught.
That's the point, isn't it? We're not, like I say, there's a level of frustration here every time we hear it, of not analysing the content, but just getting angry and reacting to the misrepresentation that's here.
I mean, this is a friggin' clown show for Flat Earth. Like I've been telling you, they've been adulterated. Let me get it down. It's Hanoi Jaren. Let me identify. Let me get specific. Hanoi Jaren. You got Dave Shyster, and then you got Boy Zero to Sky Grifter. What they've been doing for the past, as long as they've been in globe dumpsters, the whole time have been adulterating Flat Earth with their Tootsie Roll dicks, and Flat Earthers have been allowing them. That's it.
All Larry and Sturgeon.
That's it. It doesn't get any more complicated than that. That's it. I've showed it in spades. Oh, boy. Over 24 hours on my channel, including today. It's all there for you. I demonstrated over and over and over again. Nothing seems to happen. Huh. Interesting.
People want it. It's like they're suckers for it. People want to move from one abuser to another abuser.
Super chat.
Super chat. Superstition, super trooper, super mustache, super booger.
Dazza888, he sent Witsit, slippery snake oil salesman.
He's got nothing. He doesn't even have any oil. He doesn't even have it. There's no snake. There's nothing there. Nothing. That's zero.
So the indictment the flat earthers, because they're still turning up, listening and sucking.
Yeah, I think people want the fantasy, right? There's certain elements of heliocentrism that aren't necessarily just the fact that you've got an explanation. There's a fantastical aspect of it that some people that we've talked to over the years lack once they relinquish it. They want a replacement. They need some fantasy in their life. It's not enough to just say, you don't know. Maybe you'll be the one to find out. That's very exciting. No, it isn't. I need a guru to look into this. I've got a 9-to-5 and 3 kids. I don't have time to research this. Telling me I can just research it myself isn't good enough. I need a guru. It's going to fill in all these blanks, leave me with a structure, a religion I can get behind. There's people in the background that'll deal with it for me, so I don't have to. So I don't have to think about it. And when they're choosing, because they've got an opportunity, they can pick their new guru. They're going to pick the ones that fill in more blanks than others. Because people are lazy. You know, it takes effort to actually figure these things out. If somebody's saying, look, I've figured all this out for you, I'm not going to go into the details, downward bias, blah, blah, blah. Free energy. You can power a generator from the sky. I'll hear that bit.
So you're saying that East fits.
Neil, you're robotic.
Mike's the freaking train wreck, Neil.
What we're saying.
Want the fantasy. That's what I'm saying. People want the fantasy. What we have got, Adam said it many times, we're selling crap. Yeah, people don't want it. It's just a simple measurement. It's just an angle. Oh, it can't be just an angle. That's too simple. Well, sometimes life is like that. Sometimes things are simple. A simple angle that's been used to map the territory isn't a generator with voltage from the sky. It's not. Which one's more sexy?
Yeah, I think that you're right on. You're right on it right there because, yeah, it's like they want to replace. I don't know. I think you said it very well there. The truth is not something super complex. It is so glaringly obvious that it slaps you in the face almost. And these people want to act like they have some sort of secret knowledge that you have to go to them to understand. And it drives me insane. They've made it to my crazy town, and I'm about to open the gates and let the arrows fly.
The reality is they don't know. They don't have the information about Flat Earth to impart on the audience. That's the real frustration from our side of the fence. We're frustrated because we're punting the fact it's not a belief. They are skirting the topic, segueing into their belief structure of ether, and basically ignoring the fundamental premise we've built our argument on. It's being ignored. So when you see the title that we cover, specifically Flat Earth, and hear this crap coming out of the proponents for it, the alleged proponents for Flat Earth, that is, talking about this, it's below the normal standard that we typically moan about. Normally we moan that they're not doing a good enough job of punting Flat Earth, and they're just anti-heliocentrists. They need to retain focus on what the actual subject means, Flat Earth. Now, in this instance, they're not. Witset's not even doing that. As our representative, he is invoking their downward bias to punt his snake oil ether and ignoring all aspects of the actual debate. That's whether or not we're on a sphere, if you want to consider it a debate. We don't anymore. We know the sphere came from the Flat Earth measurements. That's the end of the discussion. Is it even being broached? No. Are even the heliocentric aspects that we dealt with for 10 years being undermined? No, not even that. It's woeful. Yet this is going to have a Flat Earth title and get a Flat Earth audience and convince hundreds of thousands of people potentially that this is the subject. This is Flat Earth. And that's the whole point, isn't it? When it is so base and so obvious and so basic and so simple, you've got to make it into things that it isn't. You've got to make Flat Earth into ice walls, domes, and ether. Then you're not ever going to actually broach the subject that is so glaringly obvious. People think that this is Flat Earth. This is what they'll argue about. Whether or not we've got things dropping in vacuum chambers, rather than how Earth is measured. This is how it needs to be. Anything but talking about Flat Earth.
All right. Is that it?
Was that such a good rant? It got a moment of silence.
Yes, it was really
Yeah, it
good.
was.
Yep.
I enjoyed that. I was going to come back with a cheap quip, but it wasn't worthy. It was worthy of a bit of silence. Rant, mate. Or straight in. If you were a born-again Christian, it's like arguing with the bloke who's been taught Christianity by a Mormon. Okay? This is what it's like. There's a bloke there. He's gone over to India, talked to people who've never been exposed to it before, and it's a Mormon that's representing Christianity. That's kind of there's a hidden agenda outside of the main truth. And
Superchat. Is it Water
yeah,
Well?
well, thanks, bugger.
Superchat.
All right. I guess Kiwi might have stepped away. We got 2 super chats. Matthew Eastman said, Booger, tell everyone to visit Globe Terminator. Don't tell him that, Booger. Oh, yeah, tell him that, Booger. That's, yeah. You used the wrong
Let me do
tooth.
that before you read the next one out. So that reference, that super chat, is in reference to QE's website, which is theglobeterminator.com. Be here or be sphere. All of the flat Earth arguments, globe Earth debunkings, evidences, all the standards, all of it's there. So go and check out globeterminator.com. Thank you for the super chat.
I was a little butthurt thinking he meant Globe Busters. Sorry. And then you want to say super chat again?
Okay. Super chat.
Okay. I haven't heard from Retro Bill in a while. Good to see you, Retro Bill. Great show, lads, and bravo to Flatsy's rendition of Whipping Post. Yeah, thanks, man.
Adam's example that he just gave before the super chats was played out within the last 24 hours. So Asmongold, who is a commentary channel, although I believe he was originally a gaming channel, it doesn't really matter. He's a big YouTuber, several million subscribers. He was doing a response to Sabine Hosselenfelder's representation of what she says flat Earth is. And he is responding to her straw men representations of what flat Earth is, like Adam's example, just slightly more egregious than what we're dealing with here. What she said flat Earth is what he turned around and said, yeah, that's stupid, this is stupid, yeah. Like, no, that we are accused of being in an echo chamber when I open my doors to anybody. Meanwhile, in the mainstream of YouTube, we've got Asmongold responding to how dangerous flat earthers are from Sabine Hosselenfelder. Couldn't make it up. Couldn't be more of an echo chamber. So my person on my side says the opponent is this. Yeah, aren't they silly? Echo chamber much?
Question to everybody. To Nathan as well. In the flat Earth community and flat Earth, the topic matter, there's always a lot of repetition. Is that a bad thing for us? I happen to think it's a good thing, but
I can only speak for us and flat Earth debate. Absolutely not. It's an excellent thing. That's how education works. If you look under the title and categorization of any flat Earth debate show that I run, they're all categorized as education. Now, repetition is fundamental to that. People say it's the same old stuff. Well, yeah, you can view it that way. We're talking about the same stuff intentionally in some instances. If you look at housekeeping questions, they're intentionally repetition of the same thing to keep it in the mind's eye of the person listening permanently. So it doesn't fade into non-existence that we've overcome the molten iron core 10 years ago. We won't ever forget. But that repetition is necessary. If it wasn't for the fact that 10th Man went through elevation angle measurements for a year in pre-shows, I wouldn't understand it. We went through it over and over and over again. A very complicated subject that he started to unpack and unpin from the ground up, a little bit at a time. He's still repeating it to this day. He comes on the show, 10th Man, and talks about elevation angles. Now, obviously, he's going to be shot down by Brian because he already knows Earth's flat. But if we can try and weasel our way around the interruptions from people who already know, it's very useful to have that information repeated again and again and again. Hope that answers your question.
Can I add to that?
absolutely fabulous answer. Absolutely, that's my ethos. Is that life is one big repetition. Even going to the loo, you use the same loo. You know what I mean? So please, let's keep it going. Yeah.
Shirley Bassey. All just a little bit of history repeating. Shirley Bassey, not to be confused with celibacy, which is something totally different.
This is the point of the housekeeping questions. Keep things on track, but almost in a way to encourage repetition, not for boredom, but of the points of consideration. So can you have gas pressure, etc., molten iron cores, all of those points. And that's why they're there, to encourage a baller to come in and bring it back up, which gives us the opportunity to repeat upon demand, whichever they're throwing at. Yeah, but there's certain points that need reiterating again and again because they're foundational, both not only for flat Earth, but they're foundational in mugging you off to believe you're on a ball. Why the housekeeping questions are there? They elicit repetition for a purpose, which is to expose the lie.
Occasionally
Excellent, because it is a war of attrition. It is a war of attrition. That's why we need to do that. Yes, agreed.
Occasionally in other servers, you'll hear a verbatim repetition of the question, and it makes your heart tingle. You're like, oh, this is awesome. Because the moment it occurs, the person is put into that position that's been carefully crafted for them to be in. When that person's on the back foot with a baller telling them that the sky is a vacuum, any evidence you can have gas pressure without containment, and screwed immediately. So it's nice to see it happen. It takes years. It's amazing how long it takes for these arguments to filter down the line. So gas pressure is a good example, because I can make that with confidence that somebody who goes, oh yeah, they'll go out, wander into some flat earth debate random server and hear that argument. Without doubt, that will occur if you're in there for any longer than half an hour. But it's taken 8 years for that to filter down to the masses. Now, pre-gas pressure without a container, one of the first things that we were discussing, the behest, if you will, of QE, was a grasping or gaining a grasp of the scientific method. From the very moment that occurred, the people that we are critiquing, not necessarily Whitsitt, who wasn't on the scene at the time, have braced against that. And fundamentally, they need to, if they're going to punt this pseudoscience. They need to brace against what science really is, because they're using the same magic trick.
That's why I like Candice. Why it triggered me, yeah? She doesn't know what science is, but she's realised when they're using it to her in the media to justify things nothing to do with flat Earth, she's realised that there's something wrong here. And there's a lot of people at this point. So that just to bring back to what we started the show out, that's where I think we're at, and that's why I think there's a seed change, because we're not shouting into the masses anymore. The masses are looking in, I think, and it's just a matter of presenting a cleaner message instead of what we've done for the past however many years, which is argue with idiots. I think now no longer arguing with idiots or critiquing idiots, about going out there and sharing our knowledge with people who show an interest. That would be the seed change I'd be, as well as front foot forward. Yeah, front foot forward to people that show an interest. We've humoured so many fucking idiots over these years, and continue to do so. Yeah, because like as I alluded to there with the housekeeping, because it serves a greater purpose, which is to the repetition of the message that people need to get. I think actually where we should be aiming our efforts now is at those that can spread the message, not those that oppose it, and educate them rather than necessarily rebuke them.
Yeah, reach out to those like the guy I called Shane, who isn't Shane. What was his name again?
Bryce Mitchell.
Bryce Mitchell, yeah.
Forever
He's
Shane.
the exact candidate reaching out and going, right, you're talking about this, and I can offer you arguments that won't leave you in a position where some smarty pants will ridicule you. The few choice words that undermine your position. If I give you these positions to present, if you're going to bring the subject of flat Earth up, you won't be in a position to be ridiculed at the end of it.
No, that doesn't stop the ridicule, but it doesn't leave you a gaping open hole of butt hurtness at the ridicule, because it'd be unfounded.
It serves two purposes, doesn't it? But like I say, it's not an altruistic action on your behalf to Shane, is it? Because out of it, we get a better argumentation presented. He gets the better ability to destroy people. The win-win. It's just a matter of how do you get to that point for them to recognise that we're not just a load of tossers on YouTube. That's the reality of where we're at if we're going to progress the message. And I think it kind of demands stepping outside a little bit of what we're doing, which is a little bit what the criticism we've been receiving, I think, which is we're reactive in a way, and we're reactive and disappointed that people haven't received our message, which is disappointing. But you can only be disappointed so long without actually being more proactive in getting your message out there, which is some of the, and it's always put at your door, Nathan, you should do this, Nathan, you should do that. And I'm not implying that kind of mentality. I'm saying all of us should be going out there more, spending our time and effort on people that are showing an interest rather than people that go, you're retards, which is where the past 10 years has been. Me speaking individually, I've been out there trying to get the attention of people that think it's a ball still. Maybe I shouldn't. Maybe now, after all the hard work we've put in, there are people waking up. Roseanne Barr, but Shane, Candice. There's enough people out there that we shouldn't be trying to get the attention of people that aren't interested and think the opposite. We should be expending our energy in talking to them, or trying to get their attention. And that's why the book.
But in terms of Roseanne Barr, for example, our gateway would be to listen to the discussion on one of the shows and discuss Dave's interaction with her. Now, I get that your overall sentiment is that we should be proactively contacting people like Roseanne Barr. Well, in terms of whether or not I can do that because I've got a gateway in with a new book, might be an answer to that particular aspect that you're detailing. In terms of how do you get her attention outside of that? Well, when she's talking about the subject with someone else, it's just a pity we have to undo the already misguided approach that our counterparts have when they are in a position to do a much better job. But for the fact that they've raced against a fundamental premise that we, and in this instance Candice Owens, has recognised, she may not be 100% sound in terms of her phraseology, but she's recognised that science, in quotes, she said science, has mugged her off. Now, in reality, what she thinks is science, hence I put it in air quotes, isn't actually science. It's being mugged off by people claiming they've got science when they haven't. A fundamental foundation to what we have been putting out for the last 7 or 8 years. And our counterparts brace against. So there may be a turn in the tides if, as Candice Owens, and she does ultimately represent lots of people of like mind. It's just how it is, even if she was just one individual. If she's got an opinion, it's representative of a lot of other people. It's just how it works. Anyway, point being that she will be representative of lots of people who have recognised the same thing. It seems that science has mugged me off. Well, hopefully they don't all throw the baby out with the bathwater. They lean on their education they had at high school, understand that science is a methodology that offers empirical outcomes, and that the people who have been suggesting they had that methodology just don't. Therefore, they just didn't have science. It's not that science mugged you off. They didn't have science when they claimed they did. They're just liars. They said they had science and they didn't. Once you understand that, you can start unpicking some of the other claims that come alongside it for a basis of your fundamental outlook on the entire world and its nature. Well, that has also been a mugging off using the word of science. We were told 8 years ago the whole body of science proved we were on a sphere. Oh, how times have changed. Well, unfortunately, some of our counterparts want to use this magic trick also. They want to tell you the science for ether. Offer you some technological wizardry and pretend that they've actually adhered to a methodology of empiricism, giving the inference that they've got proof for what they say. Like Jim was moaning about earlier, these people are offering up their just-so stories and ideas without any caveat that they need to be taken with a grain of salt. On the contrary, being offered up with the Michelson-Morley experiment, that'd be what? the actualization of a scientific prediction, otherwise known as hypothesis, based on a naturally occurring phenomena. Au contraire. No, it's a parlor trick. Now, does the technological appreciation of these technologies get put to practical application? Yeah, it does. But it's not science. Technology doesn't offer you scientific empiricism for ether, but they'll punt it. Why? Well, because when we brace against the garbage that we've been offered to prove a globe, when they say science, that has a really useful effect when you say it to people. They go, ooh, Nicholson Morley experiment. Science that proves the ether. Wow. I see. Suddenly they're suckered into this imaginary new paradigm of ether and free energy. New holes been plugged that were left unplugged after they relinquished their former heliocentric belief, also based on the same scam, using the word of science. Now, I hope that more people look into that. Maybe that's where we need to change our direction in terms of how we put our keywords to the masses, which is to say that if we were focused on science, and that's where people suddenly start to recognise they've been mugged off, we'll use that as our gateway. Okay, you want all roads that lead to flat Earth to be paved with nonsense about domes, ice walls, 666, masonry. Okay, right, well, you can have that path. Meanwhile, the public are looking into what science is, aren't they? Because they feel like they've been mugged off. We can tell them how and why. Without much convolution, without much fluff, we can explain science in a few sentences. If you can comprehend English, you can understand how what you have been mugged off with isn't that. It hasn't adhered to the method when they said it was science. There's a multitude of other things, including what we're actually punting. If Witsit can get away with it, so can we. Okay? Flat Earth's been cut off as a line into the public. Well, science is a fascination for everyone. Maybe that's our inroad. And then we'll punt them what we're really here for. Oh, by the way, did you know Earth's measured flat? It's not all to do with science. We'll get you here through your category error, correct you on it, and then point how Earth is measured. Flat.
Retro, thank you very much, sir. And Matthew, sorry I missed him. I just got back. I had to take care of something, so we're good. Appreciate it, guys. Thank you very much.
I can waffle indefinitely.
Yes, you can.
Occasionally it gets like a moment of silence.
Yeah, that one didn't take a moment. It took a second. And you know what? I think you have some contenders for waffling too. They're on your side of the pond, by the way. I'll give you that hint.
Not waffling.
Waffle. Waffle where waffle is necessary.
No, I don't mind taking like an indictment of that was a waffle when it was a waffle. But that one, this is real discontent. This is real frustration.
Sure.
This is how you're being represented. And yeah,
well,
that's what's being shown here. Waffle or not, and I can waffle with the best. But I'd like to make that distinguishment.
Yeah. Yeah, well, Nathan was questioning why I was staying on this, and I guess every time I get him into it, he loses it. Yeah, because it's important. You follow now?
Yeah, you know which buttons would be pressed when we're covering this sort of stuff. Doesn't mean I enjoy it. I'm sat here with my arms folded, as Adam puts it. Yeah, you can probably hear in my tone.
Yeah.
None of this is fun. This isn't fun, is it?
No. Not at all.
No, it's not. Leaves a bitter taste in your mouth, and you don't want that. You know, we want progress.
Mike, annoying.
Okay. Very annoying.
Try it again, Neil.
I just said it's quite annoying.
Oh, that sounded good. You're fine. Anything else?
Negative.
Yeah, we read those out while you were away. I figured you were away. You must have ate. You were gone a while.
No, I didn't. I had to attend to a matter.
Gotcha.
Phrase for that.
Yeah.
We say, I had to see a man about a dog. That's an English term that means doing something that I don't want to tell you about. I'm going to give you feigned, pretend activity that I haven't actually done. So try and remember that. I had to see a man about a dog.
All right, we all tuckered out. We're not going to solve it. QE Live, guess what we're doing? Part 4. Going to see this again. In fact, I haven't listened after this part. After the Coriolis effect, I didn't go, so I don't know what's coming next.
You missed the bit of my profound moment, really.
I guess I'll have to re-listen.
I can summarize for you. Or
Oh,
I
yeah.
will.
Well, I don't know. I get a ZZ Top beard by the time you're done.
No.
Yes.
Probably the way you're going to have enough time to develop a mild Hitler moustache. But I'm making, where are we? Part whatever. Part deux.
This is part 3. We'll be at part 4 on Tuesday.
Part 15. The point I was making is the worlds are changing, old man. Yeah. And where we should spend our time and investment, I don't think is necessarily ripping their new arsehole for idiots. I think it should be encouraging people that might be able to benefit us all.
Well, that's Nathan's
That's not
job.
saying
That's
we
not my
can't
job.
cut back and have a laugh at an idiot every now and again. This isn't worthy of 3 more evenings of my time. These numpties in the top right who don't know their arse from their elbow, yeah? And the Witsit who doesn't know whether he's trying to give him a shave or a fucking haircut because he's too confused with what agenda he's trying to present. That's why it's frustrating, because I'm not watching flat earthers versus ball earthers. I'm watching ball earthers, anti-flat earthers against etherites. People who have a mild interest, maybe, in flat earth, but really they're not there for flat earth.
Okay.
That wasn't a bad
fair
summary.
Enough. Fair enough. I'll go ahead and
Wasn't a bad
review. Hold on. Fair enough. I'll go ahead and review the rest of the video to see if there's anything left. But Witsit's going to be the star for the next month or two, because we're going to bring Robert Sangenis on also and watch him Shitsit is going to prostitute himself for the ether. He's going to prostitute himself for all to see what
Do
Robert
you
Sangenis
know?
does. Second?
Do you know for sure, and without a doubt, shout out Betty Van Velsen, that the earth is flat?
I bet if you ask that concerning ether, guarantee they'll all say yes.
Well, good night, America.
They wouldn't. They'd say no. They'd give you a wishy-washy, it's a logical framework answer, actually, Neil.
Logical framework train wreck. That's not what he first whistled. We're going to get into that too, because guys, we're going to take
this is the thumb I'm trying to get you to pull out your arses because you're too focused on the old school. The reality is, guys, today in America, a guy called Flat Earth Dave, yeah, a guy that cannot answer in the affirmative to that question. Do you know for sure and without a doubt, shout out Betty Van Velsen, yeah, that the earth is flat? There's a guy being interviewed by Roseanne Barr, one of, like, Trump got her on board to be influential in stuff, yeah? She's interviewing this freaking Muppet and he's representing us. What do you want to do? Keep criticizing these guys whilst we continue to be ignored and will be forever, and stop wasting our energies there, or try and engage. And I would say the next month or two, try and at least engage in all these people that seem interested in flat earth, instead of expounding our energies on critiquing Muppets that aren't even purporting flat earth. They've got their own agenda.
I expose pretended clowns, sir. This is not the Adam Meakin show. So
Didn't say that.
That's right.
It was a call out to everybody bar you.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, but we will slightly readjust the angle that this ship's steering along, let's just say, at Flat Earth debate, Adam, I'm hearing what you're saying and I'm liking it. You're saying we've got to have a slight attitude adjustment. And I agree.
Say for me.
I'm not saying say for you. I'm saying that you take part in FED, and yeah, it's not QE and QE Live and Bullbusters. And, you know, what we're doing here, we're exposing Pretender Clown, we're busting balls. That's what we do, right? But in terms of where of Flat Earth debate, where it's going to be, well, Adam's right. We've spent 10 years appealing to people who want to be on a ball. Well, our motivation and direction is a little misguided in that respect. And for all I know, Dave, in terms of his ability to just PR himself into these positions, good for him. There's no reason why we can't emulate that and tip the cap as we do so. Okay, fine. If you're managing to put yourself in front of Roseanne Barr, there's absolutely no reason why I can't put myself in front of Piers Morgan. You know what I mean? Just
Yes,
a PR
sir.
exercise.
Fair enough. Take us home.
With that, I'm going to say, first and foremost, a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of the Ballbusters panel for making today's show possible. And, of course, a massive thank you to all of you in the Quantum Eraser live stream for liking, commenting, sharing, smashing the super chat, visiting theglobeterminator.com and all that good stuff. Another thank you to today's participants from the general public for running into a moderate degree towards the end here. Also, of course, a massive thank you to Quantum Eraser for hosting the show. I've been Nathan Oakley, and we will see you all in the next Ballbusters.
This is Danny T. Truther, 1 November 2019, 24/7 2.0 Discord.
I agree that projectiles are a pretty bad example of Coriolis because there just wouldn't be.
There is no
a
Coriolis
significant
effect.
of an example. But what about ones where they do it with like fluids? Like what
There
do
is
they
no
have?
Coriolis effect.
Were you talking
Because
about
if
your
there
flushing your
was-
toilet,
okay,
Danny?
Wait a second. You
Not
defined
the
it.
toilet. Not the toilet.
No, I didn't say the toilet. Hold on a second. Do I got to put you on mute again?
Do it.
You already defined the Coriolis effect correctly. Well, kudos to you. You're the first baller that you must have been listening to that Nathan Oakley Hangouts for a while, so you got it. So, if that be the case, see, my argument isn't the Coriolis effect. My argument is the Coriolis causes, right? If the Coriolis causes are true, then a flight from North Carolina, Charlotte, to LA on the same latitude line, roughly, traveling at 500 miles per hour would take 1.5 hours straight flight. Why does it take 4.5?
That's a good point.
Am I on mute still?
No.
Okay. So when the airplane lifts off from the runway, it's let's say lifts off going 500 miles per hour, which it doesn't, but
Let's say it's let's say hold on a second. Let's say the runway is facing west.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Exactly. Even simpler. Yeah. Okay. So if the Earth were spinning at 1,000 miles per hour, and it lifted off
860. I'm sorry.
Right.
Sorry for interrupting you. At that latitude, it's 860 miles an hour.
So at 860, so then it would be going 1,360.
No, wouldn't.
In a reference frame with respect to the Earth, in a reference frame that was outside of Earth.
Wait a
which no
second.
one
The
lives in.
plane. Hold on a second. Takeoff speed is about 175 miles an hour. So the Earth is spinning from west to east at 860 miles an hour.
Right.
Right. Are you saying the plane is going backwards?
Well, not on Earth, no.
When it takes off? If it was
No.
conserving momentum, right?
Right. Yeah. If it was conserving
I got
momentum.
you by the balls.
No. You're right. You're actually right. If you're conserving momentum
the ball,
and you were at a stationary point in space, which nobody is at,
No.
then yeah, you would see the airplane and the Earth passing you by, and the airplane's actually going. Yeah.
Go ahead, say it.
That would be correct.
Say it.
Well, it's
Say
no
it.
different. Okay, can I give you an example? I know this is if
No,
I'm
no,
in a
no,
car.
no, no. We're on my example. Say it. If the person is standing, if the person is in the the inertial
in the
reference
rest-
frame. Hold
yes.
on. I'm gonna have to fucking mute you. So, the Earth is spinning from west to east at 860 miles an hour. The plane is taking off directly west to its target in LA, and it's going 175 miles an hour. If it's conserving momentum, are you telling me the person in the inertial reference frame is seeing the plane going backwards?
Yes.
Ah!
That's right. I know that, but you know that's the answer, though.
Danny,
Are you
you're not thinking
recording?
about
Are you
reality.
recording?
Beam me up.
Yeah.
Beam me up, Scotty.
So, are
Beam me
you
up, Danny.
still
Oh my gosh.
struggling?
Shit, hold on.
In review, what he's saying is you have two reference frames. He got that right. You have the spinning non-inertial reference frame that the plane's on, the Earth, and then you have the inertial reference frame, which is the Atmo, and everything not tethered to the Earth. According to the spinning space monkeys, the Earth is rotating from west to east at 860 miles an hour on that latitude between Charlotte and Los Angeles. And the plane is on the runway facing west. Typical commercial airliner reaches a speed of 175 miles an hour on takeoff. His claim is, if you're in the inertial reference frame witnessing the plane take off, let's say you're in a hovering helicopter with eyes on the runway and the plane, he's saying that due to the conservation of momentum, that at wheels up, the plane will be flying backwards in reverse east while pointing and accelerating west, until such time that it overcomes the conserved momentum east. Just before that, it'll be in suspended animation and then all of a sudden overcome the conserved momentum east and be on its way. I've tried to explain their train wreck of a dumpster fire to them for years by leading them to this point, but they just don't get it and are feebly obfuscate before I can bring the hammer down. Shout out to Danny or Daily T for allowing me to train wreck him. He's a good man, educated and intelligent. He's just caught up on the wrong side of a fairy tale religion. That's it.